Chapter 63:22. For a time the season is moving. Outside Mongshan County, under the mountains 800 kilometers away from Mongshan County City, a group of savage men riding on fierce monsters stopped. Looking in the direction of Mongshan County, he trembled and said, "Gaozu, our 1,000-foot tribe will be able to take you home soon." "Pick Gaozu home," shouted a middle-aged man who knew each other behind the old man. The entire valley was suddenly rumbling, and the line of sight was raised to see that in the entire valley, there were barbarian warriors riding monsters. The 1,000-foot tribe is just taking the lead, and there are all the wild tribes, all coming out of their nests. For Gaozu, but also to defeat the Tang dynasty. Busy west of the county, it is close to the boundless desert, and the depths of the desert are connected to the northern glaciers. Where there are ancient ruins, it is the holy place of ancient Qi refiners. Almost all the monks in the Red Eye realm dreamed of going to the Holy Land to accept the inheritance of the Divine Eye. But few can pass the inheritance. But if you pass the inheritance, you will be able to open up a sect in the Northern Glacier. In the past 1,000 years, the sects of the Northern Territory Glacier have withered, but there are still several super sects. And now the coefficient has come to the outside of Mongshan County. The leader, wearing a Taoist robe, with a face like a crown jade, looks like a 17 or 18-year-old boy, but he has lived for thousands of years, and his strength is even more unfathomable. He is also the leader of the entire Northern Territory Glacier, because he has passed the 4th level inheritance in the inheritance of the Divine Eye. With this inheritance, he has cultivated to the top, but he is still a little short of broken void. If he can get the sealed power, he has absolute confidence to soar. Pin Dao waited for thousands of years, and finally waited until the seal was broken. And I don't know that the master was planning behind it. The young Dao Kuei stood with his hands behind his back, stepping into the void between the valleys, and his footsteps were shocked. The surrounding space is shaking. Behind him, countless magnificent warships are heading towards the wind and high in the sky. On the deck, there are rows of monks, all of them in the Golden Core period. There are thousands of people. Such a huge power is comparable to that of the entire Eastern Land Tang dynasty. You must know that since the Tao world was broken, the entire cultivation world was withering. Those monks in the Southern Heaven realm have lost their appearance as monks, and they are greedy for wealth and happiness in the world. The Northern Territory Glacier is too heartless, more like a traditional cultivation sect. Only Datong has a hint of fireworks. Therefore the most monks were born. In fact, many monks of the northern region glacier were mostly from the Eastern Land Tang dynasty. The only pity is that now they are doing their jobs. Although he came from the Tang dynasty, he had to do it for his own circumstances. What's more, Datong is not their Datong. It is the Tang dynasty of the royal family Li family. No one would be concerned about their identity as a Tang cultivator. At the same time, over the coast of the eastern region, a group of monks in luxurious clothes also stepped on the sea. They are the most ostentatious, and there are many people. In addition to Jindan, they also brought Xiantian, and the number is much larger than that of the wild tribes. Those who didn't know thought they were coming to fight Datong. In fact, these monks came from the Southern Heaven realm, the Heaven realm, and they were all monks enshrined in the Southern 7 kingdoms. The sects are scattered, and there is not even a core structure. The 76 warships headed by them rose from the sea, and the suspension in midair was spectacular. But behind this is a silently dedicated Jindan period cultivator. Especially the gigantic warship headed by it, the length and width are more than 100 meters. To suspend it in midair, the power required definitely exceeds that of the infant transformation stage. However, the Southern Heaven realm is the weakest, and the great cultivator in the infant transformation stage will not waste his power for the sake of ostentation. So I can only suffer the few Jindan monks who control the warship below. The people of Tianyangmen are really shameful. The 3 of us brothers worked hard to make them look great outside. I'm not convinced. In the control room, a burly and strong man complained while transporting energy into the warship. There are 2 people next to him, all using the same method to control the huge warship. The slender old man in the lead said comfortably, "Okay, they gave too much, It's okay to be wrong, don't complain. When the warship is transported, let's go straight. What if it's good? Another young cultivator with a reversed appearance couldn't help but ask. This time Nantianji Fei came so hard, not to watch the show, but to receive a message that could change the pattern of the entire cultivation world. It's just that the three of them are in the late stage of Jindan, and they are not qualified to contact such secrets. They only know that there will be a huge opportunity, and they don't know what it is. The old man Jingli raised his brows when he heard his companion's questioning and scolded. Hurry up and work, for you and me. The reward of Tianyangmen is a great opportunity. 72 warships Akanshu. At the same time, the calm opened to the coast of Datong, with a clear goal, pointing directly to Mongshan County. In just a few days, the matter of Mongshan County was unannounced, and the cultivators of the entire red-eyed realm had gathered. No one knows who leaked the news. No one went to trace the source of the news, but all chose to believe it. That's what's weird about this. Taiyan City, the Imperial Palace. In the back garden, Emperor Guangfu Li Miao walked barefoot on the silt scattered by the petals, and the feeling of icy coldness made the Emperor of the Tang enjoy very much. Master Wei, I'm very happy that you came to see me today, but what you just said made it difficult for me. Li Miao's tone was relaxed, walking on the soft soil, looking for flowers and asking willows, sometimes picking a strange flower, and placing it on the tip of his nose take a sniff. Wei Jiuxian stood by the promenade next to the garden with his head held high, ignoring the beating of his majesty just now. Even his face became more and more embarrassing. Your Majesty, I don't care about the people from the glaciers in the northern region, but the wild tribes brought 100,000 troops into Mongshan County, and the guys from the southern world gathered tens of thousands of warships on the sea, and mortals came here. Now why is this? What is the meaning of this? Your Majesty must know better than Wei Chen. Wei Jiuxian was neither humble nor arrogant. He looked at the Tang dynasty more seriously than the emperor in front of him. For the sake of the Tang dynasty, he could disobey the emperor, and he could also lose his position as the commander of Zhengxianhui. Now that all the clans are attacking, how can he not be in a hurry, even if it is to offend the honor of the 95? You have done your best for the Tang dynasty, I see it in my eyes. Emperor Guangfu turned his head slowly, his tone softened, and looked at the old man, thinking that Wei Jiuxian had been standing by his side when he first ascended the throne, and later it was Wei Jiuxian who guarded him, and finally returned to the throne, not only with the help of Qiang sect, but also with the help of the great commander. Chapter 63-23. He was smart since he was a child, and his skills as a king surpassed that of the previous emperor. How can you not see who is the loyal minister, and who is the traitor? But what I have to do is also very important. What happened 3 years ago will not happen again. The world will not die because of me, but it will exist because of me. Can you understand? After Emperor Guangfu said this, the dragon robes flew behind him, and the whole person's breath rose. The natural dragon phase. Once you become a phase, you can use the dragon phase world and become a superpower in the phase. Wei Jiuxian thought it was ridiculous, and he even laughed outright. Is this still the little guy who was kicked off the dragon chair 3 years ago? In 3 years, too many people have changed. The little emperor who was kicked off the dragon chair back then dares to say, I exist because of me. Maybe the one from 1,000 years ago could. Thousands of years later, even the one from Baoguang Temple will no longer be able to do so. Are you laughing at me? Emperor Guangfu's face was a little grim, but also a little crazy. He shouted angrily. Wei Jiuxian, there is only so much love between me and you, don't force me. Now you just need to be honest standing on the south gate and watching me complete the big plan. You can play whatever you want in the world afterwards. Wei Jiuxian shook his head and said word by word. It's too late. It's time for a change of emperor in this Tang dynasty. You dare. Emperor Guangfu's expression changed. Although he had long expected that Wei Jiuxian would join forces with King Yu to force him to abdicate, he did not expect that the other party would dare to tear his face after seeing his strength. The power leaked just now is to let the other party know that he is not the little emperor who could be kicked in the nest 3 years ago. Sir, why don't you dare? Wei Jiuxian slapped off his tube cap, and a dueling long whip slipped out of his sleeve. A king whip, Emperor Guangfu said in shock. This is the whip of the king handed down from the old ancestors. Passed down to this generation. It happened to be in the hands of the King of Desire. The two were originally rivals, but the nobles cared more about the country. It doesn't matter who the emperor is. The important thing is that the country is there, and the person on the throne only needs to be surnamed Li. As for the current emperor, it is natural for someone to take the lead in overthrowing him. Wei Jiuxian just started here. Outside the palace, 100 princes from Wang Zizong's mansion are expected to go to the palace. Using the Empress Dowager to issue a decree, the content is very simple. It is the truth of Mongshan County. Contemporary emperors are stupid, heavy on demons, heavy on slaughter, and for their own selfish desires. They have ruined the country left by the ancestors, and I persuade him to abdicate today. Advise. Not the opposite. After all, the Great Tang is still the Great Tang. Yu Wang's group did not care whether Emperor Guangfu was captured by Wei Jiuxian or not. They had already begun to draft the Second Imperial Edict to elect the new emperor. As for the confidants of Emperor Guangfu, they all went to Mongshan County at this moment. Whether it was the Qiang sect or the Zhengxianhui commanded by the protector of Nanshan, they all gathered in Mongshan County at this moment. In the entire Taiyan city, Emperor Guangfu did not have a single confidant. In addition, Wei Jiuxian's hands were neat and tidy, and Yuan quickly took control of the overall situation. The other side, the battle between Wei Jiuxian and Emperor Guangfu Li Miao has also come to an end. The battle between the two was just a stick of incense. This made Li Miao, who had strong confidence, unable to believe that he would lose to Wei Jiuxian. He just broke through and became a great cultivator in the late stage of infant transformation. You actually kept concealing your strength? Li Miao was surprised. Wei Jiuxian was very calm and said sternly, I didn't care about cultivation originally, but after what happened 3 years ago, I didn't carry it either. Haha. Li Miao sneered, shook his head, threw his dragon robe on the ground, and said with a wry smile, I still underestimate you. The transformation of the baby is complete. It's really amazing, he said as he walked out the door. It doesn't belong to him here, and he never thought of being emperor for a lifetime. After embarking on the path of cultivation, all mundane things will gradually be forgotten. Therefore, he dared to take the risk of the world to plunder and kill the people to gather blood and cultivate for himself. This is also the reason why he parted ways with Wei Jiuxian. Your Majesty, Wei Jiuxian said softly, when she handed concubine Yin to you, you should keep your promise. Call. Hearing these words, Li Miao stopped and his body was shaking constantly. Enough, I gave you the entire Tang dynasty, what else do you want? Li Miao shouted impatiently, venting the depression in his heart. In fact, his heart is more afraid than anyone else. That promise back then? An image instantly appeared in his mind. A frail woman was snuggling in her arms, and she was kneeling on the ground. At that time, he had not yet ascended the throne, just the prince. In the picture, he knelt down to the woman in white clothed with holy snow. The woman was like a radiance in the darkness, white and flawless. Is all light. You are sorry for the imperial concubine, and I am sorry for the goddess who rescued the imperial concubine. At this time, Wei Jiuxian's words shattered his light. Goddess. This title made Li Miao tremble all over, and after a while, she turned her head and sneered at Wei Jiuxian. She is just an ancient cultivator, who was sealed in the glacier of the Northern Territory. Not a saint at all. How could a saint fall in love with a monk? It's a joke. Really? Who do you think will take your throne today? Wei Jiuxian sneered. At this time, Li Miao was even more frightened, and he no longer had the pride and calmness of the past. This is the most fearful thing buried in his heart. Princess Grave, the most mysterious imperial mausoleum in the Tang dynasty, is also an extremely terrifying force. Impossible. How could she have a connection with the Princess Grave? And she said that she will soar soon. How could she still be in the world of red eyes? Li Miao is already a little crazy. Wei Jiuxian continued to speak provocatively. You are right, she is indeed no longer in this world. But the tomb of the princess is still there, and the Baoguang temple is there. When your ancestors sealed that power, you already expected it. On this day, so someone will come to break the game. You mean the ones from Jianghua? Li Miao took a deep breath. He has many eyes to control the world, and the first floor of the world is one of them. When Jian Wushuang and the others first entered Taiyan City, they were targeted. Several monks from Jiang Kingdom thought of the destruction of the Jiang Kingdom's royal family, but there was no specific corpse. Li Miao was already suspicious and arranged for Qiyang Sex the master went to assassinate Jian Wushuang and others. I originally wanted to find out the details, but the person suddenly disappeared in Taiyan City. Thinking about it now, there is a high probability that it was hidden by Wei Jiuxian. Wei Jiuxian, you really have selfish intentions. When I sent someone to Jiang country to look for the goddess, you stopped me in every possible way, and secretly competed with me. Now it seems that the goddess must have left something. If you guess correctly, it is the woman in plain clothes who has been to Baoguang Temple before. Li Miao's expression became calm at this moment, as if everything had returned to her control. High-speed text handwriting Biko Library Wandao Jinzuan Chapter List https:// Chapter 6324. The conversation between the two seemed clueless, but it led to a shocking secret. Mongshan County Split Sky Canyon. Jian Wushuang took everyone to the canyon outside Mongshan City for the first time. As soon as they arrived, they noticed countless breaths flashing around. Obviously, some strong people have come ahead of time. This surprised everyone, and they glanced at everyone one by one, with suspicion in their hearts. After all, the 1,000-foot Saintess had just revealed the secrets hidden underground in Mongshan County. They rushed forward and found that others were earlier than them. This had to make them wonder if someone reported the letter in advance. Yang Xiao did report the letter, but he just passed it on to Wei Jiuxian. How could this lost have such great ability to gather so many strong men? There must be things in them that they don't know. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Jian Wushuang questioned Yang Xiao. First, they asked what was going on with Wei Jiuxian, and then led them to the matter of Jianghua that they had long wanted to know. Speaking of this matter, Yang Xiao's expression became embarrassed. Jiang Shang was eagerly looking forward to get the answer he was dreaming of. This matter shouldn't have been said, but since you are all from Jiang country, I knew that I couldn't hide it. Yang Xiao smiled bitterly. At this time, he understood why Jian Wushuang and others wanted to protect him, all because he had been to Jiang country and completed a top-secret mission. Very few people know about this. Only some people inside Zhang Xianwei knew about his trip to Jiang country, and as for the content of the mission, only 3 people knew about it. One was Yang Xiao's immediate boss Wei Jiuxian, and the other was Li Miao, Emperor Guangfu of the Tang dynasty. No one else knows about it yet, because this involves a shocking secret. Yang Xiao, I have 2 ways to know about this matter. You should be able to understand my consciousness. Jian Wushuang's tone was slightly threatening. He can search for souls, or let the other party speak. It's just that the former is a bit too ugly. As long as the other party takes the initiative to say it, then it's easy to do. Yang Xiao is soft or not, but at this time he can handle it clearly. Mainly, this shocking secret has something to do with Jianghua. He also knew that Jian Wushuang and others were from Jiang country. In the end, he no longer insisted, because it would not hurt Wei Jiuxian to say it. As for which His Majesty was, he had long since denied it. Mongshan County was slaughtered completely, which is what His Majesty did today. Even if it was an act against the sky, it would not be an exaggeration to kill the opponent. There is still a heart to guard the secret of the opponent. I can tell you, but the rest have to avoid it. Yang Xiao turned his head and glanced at the 1,000-foot Saintess and Chen Yuan. Jian Wushuang raised his hand and created a layer of barrier. This is the power of thought, which isolates the voice and their movements. Even if he can read his lips, he can't see what Yang Xiao said. The main reason is that Jian Wushuang does not have much power now. Otherwise it can be done by directly isolating time and space. But the little secret of the mortal world, he felt, was not necessary. After the arrangement was made, Jiang Shang was the most excited and couldn't help urging. Why did you go to Jiang country in the first place? Was it because of a woman in white? You really know her? Yang Xiao narrowed his eyes. The more he looked at the woman in front of him, the more he resembled the plain-clothed woman in the portrait that Tang Huang gave him. Jian Wushuang glanced back at Jiang Shang, then at Yang Xiao, frowning. Say it directly, no need to go around. What he can guess is limited. Just listening to the other party's riddles, even if he is full of 7 orifices and exquisite hearts, he can't guess it. And it's very tiring. Speaking of this matter, I don't know much. I only know that this matter is related to Baoguang Temple and Princess Tomb. Yang Xiao said with memories in his eyes. Not long after the restoration of Emperor Tang, suddenly they found me and Duke Wei. They handed me a portrait and told me to go to Jiang country to find the person on the portrait. But on the day I left, Duke Wei found me privately and asked me to bypassing Jiangwo. You can go around the sea and come back. You don't need to go to Jiangwo to investigate. Yang Xiao remembered the scene at that time very clearly. In addition to instructing him not to go to Jiangguowai, he also revealed the identity of the woman in the portrait. Goddess, the woman in the portrait is an ancient goddess. This title made Jiang Shang feel vague, while Xiang Yang was like listening to a story. Only Jian Wushuang froze in place. It really is her. There is no such coincidence in the world. Goddess, daughter of 9 heavens, Jiang Shang. At this moment, he thought of the Dharma image enshrined in Baoguang Temple, and his tone trembled. What does the Dharma image of Baoguang Temple have to do with the goddess? I'm not quite sure about this, but there is a record in the Zhan Xianwei archives. That Dharma image was obtained by the ancestors of the Tang dynasty thousands of years ago. It seems to be called a Zen machine. Yang Xiao was a little surprised that Jian Wushuang asked such an obscure question. Aren't you talking about that goddess now? And he could see that Jiang Shang was probably the heir left by the goddess. There was only one thing he was curious about. Who made the goddess give birth to an heir? Although I don't know the identity of the goddess very well, I can guess that the goddess had soaring strength at the beginning, and I am afraid that no one in the entire eating world is worthy of her leaving children. All this seems inexplicable. But Jian Wushuang had an answer in his heart. That Dharma was very likely the avatar of the clone left by Hui Qing when he played against the goddess in the ancient moon time and space, and finally fell into the world of gods for some unknown reason. He figured out the reason. The only thing he wondered was why he appeared in this world. And let him meet by chance. Turning to glance at Jiang Shang, he couldn't help but touch the other's head with his hand, and a smile leaked from the corner of his eyes. Jiang Shang didn't dodge, but asked curiously, Senior, do you know my mother? She wasn't stupid either. She could see that Jian Wushuang's expression changed drastically after hearing his mother's name. Of course, this is because Jian Wushuang did not hide. He nodded, did not deny it, and said indifferently, I knew it a long time ago. Xiang Yangchu kept arranging Jian Wushuang in his heart. I know everything. Let's see what you can do. You've only been here for a few days. I'm embarrassed to puncture you. In his opinion, Jian Wushuang must be pretending to be mysterious, and he has no good intentions. Call. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath, removed the enchantment and said, Everyone, the fate of ascension is right in front of you. Everything depends on your own means. Everyone nodded blankly, not knowing what he was thinking. Taiyan City. Emperor Guangfu walked out of the palace in embarrassment, took off his dragon robe, and wore a linen robe. But there was an evil thought on his eyebrows. Everyone in the world thinks this palace is a treasure, but they don't know it's a ball cage. Today I got out of the cage, so I won't be the emperor in this cage. After Li Miao finished speaking, his figure flashed and disappeared. Chapter 63-25. When it reappeared, it was already at the Imperial Mausoleum. The largest of them is the tomb of the emperor. Not the emperor, but the tomb of the princess. This princess tomb is considered to be the ancestral tomb that the emperors of all dynasties have to worship. Because when the prince of the small country of Fanbang entered the Tang dynasty, it was naturally impossible to worship outsiders. Even if that person founded Baoguang Temple, Li Miao walked on the Imperial Mausoleum Road and walked towards the towering ancient temple in the deepest part. At this time, a figure in black appeared in front of the ancient temple. It looked like a woman. She was young, but the air was very large. Li Miao, what are you doing here? I am afraid that there are not many who have such a tone of voice for the emperor, who has just abdicated. Li Miao was not angry, but said sternly, even if I am no longer the emperor of the Tang dynasty, but the tomb of the princess is still my Li family's ancestral tomb. I come from worship, do I still need to report to you? Seeing that the choked person couldn't speak, he ignored it and walked straight into the hall. The layout of the hall is very simple. There are Dharma pictures and an altar. He first lit 3 sticks of incense, and after several times of respectful worship, he turned around and went to the apse. It's dark and damp here, and sometimes water drops dripping, making a pleasant sound. Waiter, can you come out and see me? Li Miao shouted, but no one responded. The woman outside the hall chased in and said, Li Miao, my master has already gone to Mongshan County, and she said, if you want to take away senior sister Yin, you need to pass me. Jia. Li Miao smiled strangely and turned her head slowly. At this moment, he changed to a new face. It was a withered face. Black blood was flowing from the top. There were countless goo insects climbing. Insect. The sword-wielding woman who had sworn to herself suddenly turned pale with fright, and before she could react, she found that Li Miao's body suddenly disintegrated into countless blood-colored worms like blood mist, instantly eroding her body. In the world in just one day, various incidents have emerged one after another. In particular, the situation in Taiyan City is extremely complicated. But for Wei Jiuxian, it is very comfortable at the moment. He could finally sweep away the snow in front of the door. Go ahead and keep 30,000 forbidden troops to guard the imperial city, and arrange 6 colonels to be responsible for the safety of the city walls and the city, and the rest will gather outside the city. Notify the King of Desire that the new emperor's enthronement is imminent. Ming, Changfeng is the vanguard. Go outside Mongshan County to meet number 10. Someone will tell him what to do. Wei Jiuxian stood in front of the threshold and issued orders one after another, and the black mist figures behind him kept disappearing, until he was left alone. At this time the sky also darkened, but in his eyes he saw light. To relieve your worries. For the Tang dynasty, for the hundreds of millions of people, this world should be swept away. At this moment, Wei Jiuxian descended like a god, shining brightly, shaking his hands away from the night, stepping on the light and heading towards Mongshan County. As for Taiyan City, if this battle is lost, then there is no need to exist. If it is won, it will be even more brilliant. At the same time, in the Baoguang Temple, the 3 Buddhas burst into a burst of light at the same time. Master Mingjue, who was originally meditating on the Dharma, suddenly opened his eyes. Coming, he got up hastily and walked straight to the apse. He respectfully saluted at 2 of the Dharma statues and said, Disciple Mingjue, I have seen strangulation and strangulation of arhats. Senior nephew Mingjue, why are you the only one who greets me and the rest? The 2 big arhats widened their eyes angrily, looking fierce. This is also related to the arhat status achieved by the 2 of them. Mingjue put his hands together and explained, all the monks in Baoguang Temple were borrowed by Wei Jiuxian. He is the key figure in this disaster. Zhenxian has explained that, except for the patriarch Fanxin, everyone can obey Wei Jiuxian. True immortal? He is just a person who failed in ascension. Dare to compete with the ancestors of Fanxin? The 2 arhats were very disdainful. You 2 seem to be very dissatisfied with my senior brother. But at this time, another Dharma figure spoke up. She had thick blue hair, and there was an unspeakable killing intent hidden in her eyes. The 2 big killing arhats lost their luster in front of her. Even Mingjue was secretly panicking. He was more afraid of the blue-haired woman in front of him than facing the 2 killing arhats. This is the real master of slaughter, Fuqing Jianxian, a peerless sword immortal who made a great reputation in ancient times, and his subordinates killed as many as tens of thousands of gods. Because she is from the upper realm, it is a super strong person in an ancient domain in the upper realm. The reason why he came to this realm is because of the mysterious magic of divine eyes. But once you come to such a small world, your strength will also be suppressed, and you will be bound by the way of heaven. Obviously, this upper realm sword immortal failed to grasp the great opportunity of the ancient times, so he stayed in the red-eye realm all the time. In the era of depletion of power, she chose to sleep, and was later recovered from the glacier in the northern region by the ancestor Fan Xin, and brought back to the Tang dynasty. Her appearance made the two killing arhats shut up. Master Fan Xin is the master of the two of them, and the killing in front of him is a ruthless man even stronger than the master. Seeing that the two were no longer speaking, Fu Qing continued, "It wasn't my senior brother who woke me up, it should be Fan Xan, right? What about others?" The master left Baoguang Temple in a hurry after meeting two monks from Jiang country a few days ago, and also explained that there would be a major event in Mongshan County soon, and asked me to assist Wei Jiuxian and two Luohans, and Jinxian and Fu Qinjiangxian. Fu Qing frowned slightly. Her current strength was reduced by a trace, and she would not choose to revive unless she had to, now that the mortal heart is not there. But let a junior call her out, a little annoyed. Then he asked, "Where is senior brother Xinghai?" "Xinghai Jinxian went to Mongshan County," Mingjue answered honestly. During the conversation, the name Mongshan County appeared all the time. Obviously the answer to everything is there. Fu Qing didn't care about anyone else, and when he held it with one hand, the illusory Dharma image suddenly condensed into reality. He was wearing a white robe with the same white background as the Dharma image, and he carried a divine sword behind his back. His eyes were more murderous than the Dharma image. She didn't talk nonsense with these people. She left directly in the air, flew into the air to identify the direction, and went straight to Mongshan County. The remaining three looked at each other in dismay, and just as he wanted to say something to regain some face, they felt a movement from the glacier in the northern region. "So far I can feel it," Killing Luohan said. "Those demon saints are doing." When the words reached his lips, he thought that the ancestor of Fan Xin seemed to be in the glacier of the northern territory, and his face suddenly became serious. "Mingjue, you are in charge of guarding Baoguang Temple, and I will go to Mongshan County with suppression." After he finished speaking, he directly condensed his real body and left. Chapter 63:26. Chapter 63:26. Three parties gather. Mingjue stood in front of the palace gate and sighed slightly. His strength is not enough. Although he is very strong among the Jindan cultivators, he has even achieved an invincible level, but this time, he is not qualified to see the realm of infant transformation. The situation changes. The masters in Taiyan City ran wild one by one, flying towards Mongshan County. Even the people in the city noticed something was wrong, because the army guarding the capital had already started. Immortals fight, and it is not only the immortals who are injured. Although there are no mortals in Mongshan County, the land still belongs to the Tang dynasty, so go to guard. Even if there are gods fighting, go there. After all, Savage and Nanchi Kingdom also visited a lot of people, wanting to annex Tang dynasty in one fell swoop. Among the major forces, only Savage and Nanquiguo have such ambitions. The ancient monks of the Northern Territory Glacier, that is, the magic cultivator saints called by the Tang dynasty, are not going to grab the territory, because most of them are from the Datong dynasty, but after accepting the inheritance of the Divine Eye, they stayed in the Northern Territory Glacier to practice. At this moment, the sky was completely dark, and there was no light in Mongshan County. In the depths of the canyon, there is 1,000 fires shining like daytime. Over the mountains in the southeast, 72 warships were suspended in midair, shining like stars in a vast night, illuminating the mountains. The two major forces with a large number of people are very close, and the smell of gunpowder is also very strong. The powerhouses at the bottom, one by one, are gearing up, ready to be called at any time. They didn't know that, at this moment, the top powerhouses of all forces were gathered at the top of the mountain. A figure in Chinese clothes, with a high aura, a serious face, and the power of a righteous path, stopped at the first place and said loudly, Nantianji Tianyang Sect Master, Hua Shuejian. Pindao Zhang Xiansheng, representing the Northern Region Glacier. The young man in the yellow robe just raised his head slightly, looking very low-key. The chief capital of the two major cultivation worlds spoke, and the remaining savage forces also walked out at this moment. Wild, thousand-footed leader, Miao Renfeng. This man is full of white hair, and looks like an old man. But his body is extremely strong, his chest is open, and his animal skin looks extremely wild. But his tone is extremely gentle. To be precise, the wilderness is not the realm of self-cultivation, because they are self-sufficient, and do not recognize the set of ancient qi refiners. Naturally, they are not all the way. In addition to abandoning the ancient inheritance, their strength gradually decreased, and they were squeezed out. Most of the wild areas live at the junction of the eastern land and the northern glaciers. In normal times, the powerhouses of the orthodox self-cultivation world would despise these people. But now that everyone has gathered together, facing the entire eastern land cultivation realm, they naturally come together. Everyone didn't even greet each other, they all went straight to the topic. How to enter Mongshan County. In fact, they have already arrived. But no one entered Mongshan County first, because they were worried about an ambush. An empty city, unattended, no breath felt. It surprised them. If only one force came, it would be fine to fight for it. But when the three parties gathered together, who would take the lead would become the problem. 3 people, there must be my teacher. There is nothing wrong with this sentence. It is spread in many mortal worlds, and it is not without reason. When there are more people, it becomes a trend. As it is now, when the 3 parties gather, they all have their own plans. And the stakes are very important. Some people have even waited for 1,000 years. Such a critical timing, once hit by the first wave, will affect the chances of subsequent competition for opportunities. So they are all saving their strength. And if they want to calculate the other party, they go to explore the path first. The leader of the 3 major forces has other ideas. They are most anxious because it is in their own best interests. What are the opportunities for those middle and bottom layers to come here? Just cannon fodder. It's just that the 3 of them have to set an example now. If they enter rashly, and only let one of their subordinates die, it will be somewhat embarrassing. The 3 leaders were the most anxious, so they gathered together to do a sub-project. This kind of thing, among the mortals, can best reflect the mystery. After reaching the ranks of the cultivators, although it is somewhat diluted, it still maintains. Even if only one force comes, there will be factions and fights within. After all, they are fighting for themselves. There are really a few stunners, and it is also a small probability event. Everyone, it's not too late, we need to quickly come up with a countermeasure. Don't forget, this is Dongtu, this is the Great Tang, and it is the strongest self-cultivation world in the Red-Eye realm. I believe that many of you are cultivators from the Great Tang. I also understand how powerful the Tang dynasty is. The true immortal of Baoguang Temple is rumored to be the top monk of Huaying, as well as the guardian of the prince's grave. All of them are monks in the period of Huaying. Hua Shuejian of Nantianji spoke first, because he felt that he should be the leader. After all, the 3 powerhouses can only speak out from the South Heaven realm. Although the Northern Territory Glacier is an ancient relic, among which the monks are known as inheritors, but in the eyes of the Southern Heaven realm and the Eastern Earth monks, they are a group of magic saints. Because of the ancient inheritance, it is not only the inheritance of the divine eye. The inheritance of the divine eye is extremely harsh, and many monks cannot even pass the most basic black eye inheritance. So many monks who have gone to the northern glaciers feel hopeless, and will go to other ruins to try their luck. The main body of the ancient inheritance is the inheritance of the divine eye. But the superpowers who become under the inheritance of the divine eye will also establish their own inheritance place before ascending. In the glorious period, 10,000 immortals soared. The legacy left behind is like raindrops falling on the glacier in the northern region. Therefore, many monks have inherited the inheritance of the ancient monks, and become inheritors. But among these inheritances, the number of magic cultivators is the largest. Because the requirements are very low, there are many inheritors who accept magic cultivation. This will be called the magician's saint by the outside world. It is said that the saints are praising them. That is, in such a big scene, politely say that the other party is a cultivator of the holy sect. If you tear your face off, or bring it up behind your back, you'll call them magic cultivators. Of course, those Tianjiao who could accept the inheritance of the divine eye were also scolded. But the Tianjiao who could reach that position didn't care what the outside world thought. Now when Hua Xuejian of the southern heaven realm opened his mouth, he showed the brilliance of his righteous path, which was also a normal behavior. As for the wild Miao Renfeng, it is not on the table, so naturally there is nothing to say. But I want to hear what Hua Xuejian, the leader of the righteous path from the southern heaven realm, has to say, because in his cognition, the more cultivators who claim to be righteous, the more bad intentions they have, and they can speak upright and aboveboard. Zhang Xiansheng of Beiyu Glacier is more pragmatic. He doesn't care about Hua Xuejian's appearance as the boss. What he cares about is how to progress now. Therefore, after hearing Hua Xuejian's flashy words, he immediately retorted, Baoguang Temple and Gongshufen will not easily join the WDO. And even if they join the WDO, these two people will not be able to stop our three parties. Chapter 63-27. You're right. Hua Xuejian waved his hand, and then said proudly, there is nothing more than an Arhat in Baoguang Temple, or who is a true immortal, or who is the guardian of the tomb of the princess. These are all small problems, and we are here this time for the purpose of maintain the right path. There is a huge dead energy hidden in this Mongshan County. Even ordinary people can feel the endless resentment hidden in the dead energy. Obviously, there is a demon cultivator in the Tang dynasty. It is my duty to eradicate the demon cultivator. Demon Dao, I Hua Xuejian, will destroy the entire Tang dynasty. This series of words is so heart-wrenching that he almost calls himself a saint. Miao Renfeng couldn't help laughing. Isn't the most widely spread demon religion in the outside world the northern region glacier? Turning his head and looking at Zhang Xiansheng, the other party's expression did not change much, and there was still a trace of anxiety between his eyebrows. Hua Xuejian took out the set in the southern heaven realm and started beating, and first said to Zhang Xiansheng, I am very happy that the Northern Territory Glacier can come this time. The devil taught me to investigate clearly, and it has something to do with your Northern Territory glaciers. Yuan, this time you are also clearing the portal. I am very particular about my sense of proportion, and I have never interfered in other people's affairs. But this time the Qiyang sect's actions are too bad. And it is rumored that there is some kind of big killer inside the Qiyang sect, which can endanger the entire cultivation world. My South Heaven realm, I have to take action and destroy this sect. Cough. The leader of the Hua Alliance is great. This time we gather from three parties. It is not a problem to get rid of the Qiyang sect. The key is that this is the opponent's territory. Let's go to Mongshan County together. This time, Miao Renfeng couldn't stand it anymore. He felt that if he kept talking like this, he wouldn't be able to pay attention when it was dawn. So he opened his mouth to bring the topic back. When Zhang Xiansheng saw the topic, he immediately nodded and said, yes, in the current situation, it is not enough to rely on one person alone. We need to unite and enter Mongshan County to investigate the situation first. Seeing the anxious appearance of the two, Hua Xuejian first leaked a trace of worry, then looked at the two and said, do those two have any ideas? The change in attitude caught Zhang Xiansheng and Miao Renfeng by surprise, but they didn't think much about the topic, and they immediately came up with a surefire strategy. The strategy is simple. Each of the three parties has 5 late-stage Jindan cultivators to take the lead. The second echelon is each sent a baby cultivator to stand in the line. The third echelon dispatched 30 Jindan period and 300 congenital warriors from all sides. If the Northern Territory Glacier did not come to innate warriors, then it would be converted into Jindan period monks, and 1 to 10 would be enough. The plan is simple, and will not upset any of the three parties. But it's hard to say inside. The internal problems of the three parties are intricate and complicated, and once they become entangled, it will take a long time. It doesn't work to replicate this scheme completely. For example, there are many tribes in the wild. Some tribes have only 2 or 3 Jindan monks, and some tribes have dozens of Jindan monks. How does this count? 1 with fewer people and 2 with more? There will definitely be people who are dissatisfied. And at this time, the leader needs to have a strong wrist to mediate. Miao Renfeng has no problem with Feng Yuan, because many of them were mentioned by him. And now he is worried about internal problems. So after the 3 of them were finalized, they each returned to inform the internal tribe, or the sect, to discuss the matter of dispatching the strong. In the canyon, Miao Renfeng looked back at Hua Xuejian on his way back, and wondered in his heart, this man is so popular, why didn't he say a word about the plan? Curiosity disappeared, and now it was time for him to explain the headache internally. The sky, the largest warship. Hua Xuejian returned to the main hall inside the ship with satisfaction. He was very satisfied with the 3-way negotiation just now. On the surface, he dominated the overall situation, but Feng Yan deliberately missed a hand and did not participate at all. Because this matter is so simple that a child can come up with a plan, why should he say it himself? It doesn't do him any good, and it makes people think he's simple-minded. Therefore, Zhang Xianxing and Miao Renfeng were deliberately asked to come forward. In this way, he can also face internal problems. Because Feng Yan was mentioned by the other party. If you are dissatisfied, you can go to Zhang Xianxing and Miao Renfeng. It has nothing to do with me. On top of that, he has a bad reputation for letting people risk their lives, and he wouldn't wear that hat. He can say things that send people to death in a high-sounding manner, and he can also speak upright and righteous. But those are just casual words, and others don't know how to scold him in their hearts. So this kind of thankless thing, he will not do it. Immediately, I made it clear, simplifying what I said about the scene, and then said the plan proposed by Miao Renfeng and Zhang Xianxing. The hall fell silent in an instant. Nantianjia Konshu. There are 9 large and small sections. Among them, Tianyangmen, where Zhang Xianzong is located, is the most powerful. There are hundreds of cultivators in the Jindan stage alone, and 3 cultivators in the infant transformation stage if you count him. The rest of the sects seemed a little weaker. The only thing that can be compared with Tianyang sect is Jujianmen. There are 2 infants, and one of them, Giant Sword Wang Lan, is known as the second cultivator of Nantian. The strength is already at the peak of the middle stage of Huaying. A strong man who can wrestle his wrists with Huaying in the later stage. In addition, the other 7 major sects each have a baby-changing cultivator, and there are only dozens of Jindan cultivators under the sect, with only a dozen or so less. The powerhouses of the 9 major sects are actually not many when added together, and their quality is incomparable to the northern region glacier, and their combat power may not be as good as that of the wild tribes. Since the leader of the alliance brought Feng Yan back, let's study it. Wang Lan, who has always been domineering, was the first to speak, and there was a sense of sarcasm in Hua Xuejian's words. He glanced at the people present, and said, actually, it's not a study, I think this plan is very good, and it suits me very well. Since each of the 3 parties has monks, then the number of people who fall into our southern heaven realm, in fact, it is not too much. I have a suggestion here, you can refer to it. There are 5 Jindan cultivators in the first tier, 3 from the 9 major sects, 2 from the loose cultivator, the second echelon. I personally sit in the third echelon, 20 from the 9 major sects, and 10 from the scattered cultivator. Jindan cultivator. I don't think it is necessary to divide the remaining innate warriors. Anyway, there are enough people here this time. When the time comes, everyone will draw lots to decide who will agree, who is against it. As soon as these words came out, the 9 sect powerhouses in the hall nodded their heads to indicate that there was no problem. But scattered repairs are uncomfortable. The resources of the southern heaven realm were strictly controlled, and the path of scattered cultivation was inherently difficult. Chapter 63-28. The entire group of loose cultivators did not have a single cultivator in the infant transformation stage, so they were all ignored. You don't have to think about them for good things, and they are the first to look for bad things. The key is not qualified to refute. 13 chairs in the hall. 12 were all seated with the cultivators in the infant turning stage, and only one seated with a golden elixir of consummation, that is, the loose cultivator representative Wuxia. Although he frowned, he was willing to accept this plan in his heart, because he is a loose cultivator, and he is also a representative of the loose cultivator. Naturally, he will not go by himself. Many scattered cultivators rely on him, and he also has to rely on those behind him. Both parties are cooperative. Now that the problem is with him, he won't fully resist. As soon as his mind power moved, he began to discuss countermeasures with dozens of Jindan stage loose cultivators. In the end, the draw was chosen. Naturally, Wuxia would not draw lots, but he also had to set an example, and he would personally go out in the third echelon. The two unlucky people who were drawn to the first echelon are only in the early stage of Jindan, weak in strength and no treasure. At the moment, their faces are gloomy, but they are also excited. If there is a big chance, they will be the first to benefit. The loose cultivator camp has already selected personnel in batches. The rest are the 9 sections. How these quotas are divided is much more complicated than loose cultivation. In the end, according to Hua Zuejian's proposal, each sect sent the same number of people. Don't say who suffers if you want to blame it. You have too few strong people in your own sect. Jujiamen did not come out in a golden stage, because Wang Lan was in the second echelon, and this risk was also very high. No one dared to comment. After all, the life of a cultivator at the infant transformation stage was 100 times more expensive than that of a cultivator at the Jindan stage. Among the 9 major sects, there are 7 sects with only one cultivator in the infant transformation stage, and no one dares to take this risk. But the detached Wang Lan dared to take this risk, because he is only one step away from the late stage of infant transformation. The key point is that he has also obtained the Black Eye inheritance in the inheritance of God's Eye. He is very powerful in the same rank. Once he enters the late stage of infant transformation, he will definitely not be weaker than Hua Xuejian. So if you want to fight, and the danger is not too big, the greatest danger lies in the first echelon. Among the selected monks, no one dared to take the first echelon. From all the sects, as long as one is willing to go to the first echelon, the third echelon can choose not to send cultivators. Faced with this temptation, several weaker sects finally launched a few Jindan cultivators who were not afraid of death. These 3 people are all very strong, and they all have one thing in common: they have been trapped in the golden core stage for too long. Since the manpower has been selected, let's go. Hua Zuejian's tone was serious. After glancing at everyone, he said, "This time you represent the Southern Heaven realm. You must show your strongest state, and don't be in danger. Afraid. Remember that you still have sects and family members to guard. Eliminate demons and defend the way. My monks are bound to." Exorcism Guardian Road. Hua Xuejian nodded with satisfaction, and with a wave of her robe, she rolled up the crowd and left the battleship directly. By the time he appeared, the other 2 parties had already selected their personnel. The interior of the Northern Territory Glacier is not that complicated. They are all pure monks. It is okay to take risks, as long as there are enough benefits, and there is not much concern. Unlike the monks in the Southern Heaven realm, they are concerned about their sects, their disciples, their families, and their families. This is no longer like a monk, more like a gate valve. As for the wild side, it was much simpler. Although there were many internal tribes, the plan given by Miao Renfeng made everyone have no opinion. That was the simplest lottery. Everyone draws together, and whoever draws will go. Of course, there are some stunned young people who are not afraid of death, rushing to the first echelon. But it seems much simpler. Everyone is ready, let's get started. The 3 nodded in agreement at the same time, and waved their hands to signal their subordinates to start secretly moving forward. The first echelon, 15 Jindan cultivators, quietly approached Mongshan County with the help of some treasures that shielded their breath. The 3 infant cultivators in the second echelon also used the same treasures to cover their breath and followed behind the first echelon. The third echelon does not have such good treatment, nor is there much danger, so there is no cover-up, but it has always maintained a distance of 50 miles from Mongshan County. Mongshan County. The entire city was terribly quiet, and there was no sound. But with the entry of 15 Jindan monks, this wild beast lurking in the dark night seemed to wake up. Jia. These idiots actually let some Jindan cultivators come to die. A figure on the city wall shook his head with a wry smile. Behind him there are several people. One of the alien women said in a panic. It's the powerhouse of our wild tribe. How come there are only these few? A dozen or so cultivators of the golden core stage. Don't tell me that this is the strength of the entire cultivation world, right? No, these people are just here to find out the truth, but they are going to be miserable. This group of people is Jian Wushuang and others. They had already arrived at Mongshan County City and entered the city directly. With Jian Wushuang's thought power shielding the breath, it is difficult for even the strong and the gods to find their traces. So not so much concern. When they entered the city at that time, as Yang Xiao said, there was no one in the city. They searched the entire Mongshan County city during the day, but they couldn't find the so-called altar. It is said that it is an underground altar, but the entire city cannot be dug. Just as they were in a hurry, the sky darkened. At this time, they found that the whole city was full of evil spirits transformed by resentment. And the strength is not weak. These ghosts devoured each other, and the strength gradually increased. Ghost cultivators have already appeared in the infancy stage, and spiritual wisdom has also appeared. Jian Wushuang, who saw this scene, decided to act at night, because he found that these ghosts were constantly emerging, which must be related to the altar. But after searching for a long time, he still couldn't find it. So he came to the city wall to carefully watch the changes in the city's evil ghosts turning into ghost cultivators, which made him discover something strange. These evil ghosts and serious ghosts devoured each other and evolved, and eventually became ghost cultivators. They began to evolve from the golden core stage. According to this number, the current ghost cultivators in the whole city can evolve into 3 ghosts, who are at the peak of the baby transformation. This name is because of the symbol of the ghost repairing the chest. Innate warriors correspond to ghost pawns. Jindan cultivator corresponds to the ghost general. The counterpart of the infant cultivator is ghost handsome. The evil ghosts and ghosts who have not evolved, that is, the acquired level. But the acquired martial artists can't deal with this kind of evil ghost at all. Kill the soul. And the final attack is the shock of consciousness. At a higher level, it is a soul attack. So if you want to deal with these evil ghosts and ghost repairs, you must at least be a congenital warrior. Consciousness is the current strength of Jian Wushuang, so he is not in a hurry, but those monks outside are going to be miserable. Chapter 63-29. There are ghost generals in the 5 areas in the south, north, and center of the city, and there are even more ghost generals. There are hundreds of ghost generals in each area. Just sending more than a dozen Jindan stage cultivators, they can't turn any splashes of water, and once they come in, they will be submerged. Jian Wushuang did not regard those people outside as his opponents. What he was thinking about now was why this happened. The underground altar seals the power of the gods 1,000 years ago, and these ghosts should be blood sacrifices. At the beginning, they encountered many corpses on the way to Taiyan City, and when he was in the fishing village, he saw with his own eyes the scene of Mo Xiu taking the blood of mortals. These should all be done by Chiangzong, and the person behind the scenes is the Emperor Tang. Jian Wushuang did not know that the current Tang Huang had been removed from the Li family. If it weren't for the preservation of the royal family's reputation, they would have been pulled out and cut. The underground altar, I'm afraid it's not that simple. With his knowledge, it can be seen that these evolved specters should be cultivating a perfect 3 souls and 6 souls. With the perfect 3 souls and 6 souls, you can control this perfect soul with just a little thought. If you have another powerful body, it is equivalent to using it as a perfect resurrection. However, it requires a little bit of mentality from the resurrected object. There are many ways to preserve mind power. There are tens of thousands of methods that Jian Wushuang knows, but only a few can appear in the mundane world. It is not surprising that such treasures or secret techniques to preserve mind power appear in the Red-Eye realm. Who is it to revive? Or is it to devour the perfect soul to improve one's own soul? The latter is too wasteful, the former is possible. But he didn't understand who to resurrect? The princess? Jian Wushuang's mind flashed across the imperial list that he had heard when he went to the first floor. Thinking of this, he looked at Chen Yuan, thinking of asking the other party if he knew about it. But when he saw Chen Yuan, he found that the other party had lost his mind, and there was an extra tear on his cheek. This surprised him. The last time he saw Chen Yuan cry was the last time. At that time, he told Chen Yuan about Azzy, who was crying now. He stepped forward, patted the other person's shoulder, and said with concern, "What's wrong?" It's okay." Chen Yuan's body trembled slightly, then he forbeared his emotions, and squeezed out a smile when he replied, "Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Chen Yuan has something on his mind, and it has something to do with the evil spirits in the city." However, Jian Wushuang just wanted to know whether which imperial concubine had something to do with this place, so he didn't think too much about why Chen Yuan was so sad here. Hearing his question, Chen Yuan's expression instantly became embarrassed. "If you think it's hard to talk, I can block them." Jian Wushuang seemed to be concerned, but it also showed that the other party had to say something. Chen Yuan was very entangled, because this incident became his inner demon just like Az's death. But when he saw the ghosts all over the city, he felt that compared with the hundreds of millions of creatures, what was his little devil? No need to block, this matter won't be hidden for long anyway. Chen Yuan shook his head with a wry smile. When the others heard this, they all pricked up their ears and cast curious eyes. Xiang Yang squinted his eyes and teased, "What's the matter? Don't talk about the ghosts in this city, it's all yours." "Almost," Chen Yuan replied sternly, and the shocked crowd gasped. Even Jian Wushuang couldn't help frowning. He used his mind power to observe Chen Yuan over and over again, and found that there was no magic flame on the other side, not even the aura of sin. There is only a layer of causal energy. "What nonsense are you talking about, B?" But Chen Yuan shook his head and said, "I didn't lie, everything here is because of me. In fact, Az's death is all my fault, it's my fault." As he said that, he spit out a mouthful of blood. Jian Wushuang was afraid that he would die in a hurry, and immediately used his strength to open up the other party's veins. "I shouldn't be so greedy. I shouldn't be so greedy." Chen Yuan stabilized his body, but tears fell down. This scene really confused everyone. But after Chen Yuan told the truth, everyone suddenly understood. But there were also people who ran away because of it. Yang Xiao is. He rushed directly to Chen Yuan, grabbed the other party's collar, and shouted angrily, "It was you who killed Princess Yin, and you did such a wicked thing. Don't blame him." Jian Wushuang waved his hand to separate the two with his thoughts. It is also the Tang Emperor Li Miao who is to blame for this matter. Concubine Yin was just a to be used. But this is Chen Yuan's heart knot, and it is also the heart knot of Zhang Xianwei, the first beauty of the Tang dynasty. Because of the surprise attack of the alien king, caused the jade fall. Zhang Xianwei has been infamous for 3 years. Failing to protect the imperial concubine is also the knot in the hearts of Yang Xiao, who are loyal to the Tang dynasty. As a result, now Chen Yuan told them that concubine Yin killed herself. This is a long story. It is the story of a failed scholar who has no face to return to his hometown. Chen Yuan didn't get into the top spot at all. After entering Beijing, he failed the first exam, but he was unwilling. Even if he had no money to stay in Tian City, lived alone outside the city, inside a broken temple. Here comes the turn. The alien king raided, and Emperor Tang escaped from Tian City. On the way, accidentally went to the broken temple to escape. That night, only 4 people knew about the broken temple. Tang Huang, Han Gong, Chen Yuan, Yin Huangfei. The so-called alien king raid at the time was nothing but a shocking scam. What Yi Wang wants is not the throne, but the imperial concubine. As for why he wanted to compete for the imperial concubine, Chen Yuan didn't know about it. However, at that time, King Yi was very strong, and there was also a terrifying strength around him, which could suppress a mortal Zhan Wei. Tang Huang can only escape. So he was afraid of being robbed of the imperial concubine by the alien king. But he couldn't bear to do it. At that time, when he met a poor scholar, he hinted that Chen Yuan had killed the Yin Huangfei and was notorious for being a different king. As long as you start, you can enjoy all the glory and wealth. Arriving here, Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. Chen Yuan is just a poor scholar without any background. If you kill Huangfei Yin, you will definitely be silenced. How can you keep Chen Yuan as an insider? It is normal to stay with Duke Han. The other party, an old who has lived for hundreds of years, must be so committed to the Tang emperors of the past dynasties that he will not be silenced. The key point is that Tang Huang has no ability to silence himself. But killing a Chen Yuan is as simple as blowing air. Why silence? This involves some kind of secret. Chen Yuan killed concubine Yin, but Emperor Tang was well prepared and left the concubine's mind in advance. Even if the body is gone, the soul is gone. With that trace of mind power, he can also revive the memory of that imperial concubine at a certain moment. As for the physical body, as long as it is kept properly, it can still be used in just 3 years. But this method of recovery has a requirement. Chapter 63:30. That is, Chen Yuan must live, because it is of great use. At this moment, Chen Yuan happened to appear in Mongshan County. Everything fits perfectly. The corners of Jian Wushuang's mouth, who gradually penetrated everything, rose slightly. He didn't hide it, and directly stated the intention of Emperor Tang Li Miao. It's not to comfort Chen Yuan, but to let them understand that these ghosts all over the city are for the emperor alone. Jian Wushuang did not believe that Li Miao wasted so much energy just to revive the imperial concubine. I am afraid that the imperial concubine may be more useful, so let him revive the imperial concubine at all costs. Everyone was surprised when they heard his guess. What a ruthless heart, what a ruthless method. Yang Xiao's face revealed fear. This is the first time I'm afraid. It is more afraid than being chased and killed by the 9 golden cores in the later stage. Xiang Yang couldn't help frowning and trembled. With such a calculation, one can expect Chen Yuan to appear in Mongshan County. I'm afraid it's not the Emperor Kid who is calculating behind this. As expected, none of your Tang emperors is a good thing. The 1,000-foot scientist did not forget to sneer at this time. Originally, he didn't care much about the internal affairs of the Tang dynasty. But after hearing such a terrible calculation, he couldn't help but feel a chill behind his back. Jian Wushuang was very stunned. In his opinion, it was just a way to become stronger. In the mundane world, it can be regarded as a good hand, and it is the normal means of a chess player. In terms of superb methods, he has seen too much, so he is not surprised. Just curious about what is so special about the imperial concubine? Is it possible to make people fly? In the world of red eyes, this is what can make people so fascinated. There is news from Zhangxianlu. Taiyan City has undergone great changes, and Emperor Tang has been abolished. At this time, Yang Xiao exclaimed when he received the news from inside Zhan Xianwei. But this matter is no longer important. Waste or not, the other party is a cultivator in the infantization stage. And there are powerful people with great supernatural powers behind them to help plan the layout. Is Wei Jiuxian here too? Yang Xiao nodded and said, the commander has led the army to Mongshan County, and it's not far from the county seat. Tell him, don't let mortals come to die, just let him come alone. Jian Wushuang warned. Wei Jiuxian must know more, and he also wants to inquire about something from the other party. No, the commander will not come to the county town. Yang Xiao shook his head and sighed. The commander came with the army. I am afraid it is to deter the cultivators from the wild tribes and the southern heaven realm. Is it possible that he has no interest in this place? Xiang Yang asked in surprise. Yang Xiao nodded and said, "Yes, the great commander is about the common people in the world. He has no interest in soaring. This is why Emperor Tang is targeting the great commander." What a pity. Jian Wushuang sighed slightly. It doesn't matter whether someone who comes, or doesn't come. Now the most important thing is to find the altar. During their conversation, the second echelon of the three-way strength also entered the county seat. The first batch of people were almost dead, and they met a ghost handsome within 100 feet of entering the city, and they were still in the middle of the baby transformation stage, so they were considered unlucky. They stood leisurely on the city wall watching the battle. The rest are not so good. The three infant cultivators in the second echelon were shocked by the scene in front of them after entering the city. Even Wang Lan was the same. If you want to go deep into the county town, it doesn't show at all. Unless the three parties enter the county town together with their strength, they can kill a path. Otherwise, only with their own combat power. Unless they are in the realm of gods, they can go in and out freely. Get out! Wang Lan didn't want to go deep at all. As for the monks in the first echelon, he didn't bother to care. Anyway, they weren't Jindan monks from his own sect, so he just turned around and left. The other two infant transformation cultivators also had the same idea. Staying behind would not have any effect at all. Instead, they might be dragged down by powerful ghost cultivators. Immediately withdrew from the county town. By the way, the third echelon was also called back. Because these people will die if they go in, there is no need at all. They can be considered to have heard a thing or two about things in Mongshan County. 50 miles away, in a huge ancient castle, there are gathered here the three major alliance cultivators, as well as a few Jindan cultivators. The entire county town is a ghost repair? Hearing this news, everyone's first reaction was disbelief, because they felt nothing outside the city. This is also why the first echelon has no voice. It should be an enchantment blocking everything. It's hard to do now. There are ghost cultivators in the city, and there are many ghost cultivators at the level of infant transformation. Once they venture into it, the loss may not be calculated. Miao Renfeng was the first to feel a headache. Many people came from the wild, and the most powerful people gathered outside Mongshan County, because there were many innate powerhouses in Nantian realm outside Mongshan County. Once they attacked the city, it seemed that they suffered a loss. Ghost cultivator? He meditated silently in the bottom of his heart, and immediately noticed it, and immediately said, "Since it's a ghost cultivator, it's useless for ordinary congenital warriors to enter. I think it's better to gather all the monks above the Jindan stage, and attack together. City, not to mention killing all those ghost cultivators. At least find the main altar of Qiyang sect. As long as the key figures are killed, why not kill those ghost cultivators if they stay and kill them slowly?" He can be considered to have grasped the essence of Hua Xuejian, and these words are not leaking. Hua Xuejian was not angry when she heard that her words were robbed, but smiled and said, "Miao leader's proposal is good. The most important thing at the moment is to find the main altar of the demon sect, so that we can catch everything in one go. Since it is a ghost cultivator, it must be gold. Only the alchemy cultivator can deal with it. I agree with this proposal." The two made a decision, leaving Zhang Xianxing alone. He also had no reason to refuse. It's better to rush in together and save the intrigue. I agree too. After the three parties had no problem, they passed the news on. After a stick of incense, gather all the powerhouses and attack the city together. No, exorcism guardian road. The wild animal horns blew, and with the order as the order, thousands of Jindan monks gathered together at the same time, divided into 3 teams, but the troops were unified. Such a large team of monks can be regarded as the last glimmer of glory left after the ancient times. Infant cultivators also gathered dozens of people. There are more than 1,000 monks in the Jindan period. Together they marched into Mongshan County. The next moment they entered, another horn sounded. Wei Jiu is here. He came with 1,000 troops to kill. In addition to Wei Jiuxian, Chang Feng took another group of troops and killed the Nantian County army along the coast. Taking advantage of the absence of the strong on both sides, this is a feast of slaughter. The blood stained the earth. The warriors of the wild tribes, although brave and good at fighting, can't stand the point killing of Zhang Xianwei. All the stronger innate warriors were instantly killed. The rest were directly crushed by the crowded army. Chapter 63:31. Together with the beasts of war, they were strangled to kill the city flesh mud. In this battle, there is no suspense in winning, and the fight is also decisive, and the withdrawal is also very neat. And Wei Jiuxian stayed with Zhang Xianwei. It was in the old castle where the three forces had gathered before. Commander, the coast is over too, and Lord Changfeng Chang will be here soon. Wei Jiuxian, dressed in white, looked pure and flawless. Sitting on the seat of Hua Shuejian's seat, he nodded dazedly, as if the previous killings had not been a slap in the face. Have the 10 permanent servants all gathered? Heiying replied truthfully. Number 10 is beside Lord Changfeng, and the rest are waiting outside. Good. Wei Jiuxian nodded with satisfaction. Today's battle he is very satisfied. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he eliminated the threat of the Southern Heaven Realm and the threat of the wild tribes. As for Mongshan County, it was an azure field. How many people are not enough? Now we can only wait and wait for the real people behind the scenes. His mission is half completed. Protecting the Tang dynasty has now been done. The other half is to clear the portal. At this time, a report came from outside the door, and there was a strong atmosphere approaching this place. As soon as he finished speaking, the breath had already arrived. It was a woman in a white robe and a green shirt. Her temperament was incomparably cold, and she was carrying a mighty divine sword on her back. Wei Jiuxian was a little surprised when he saw the person coming. He doesn't know this person, but in terms of breath, it was definitely stronger than those infant transformation cultivators he had seen. It is likely to be a great cultivator of the divine phase. But he was not flustered at all, not even afraid. Wei Jiuxian asked calmly, Your Excellency, is there something wrong? Your strength is good. It's rare that you can maintain a calm heart after seeing me. The cold woman actually praised Wei Jiuxian. This made Wei Jiuxian even more confused. After thinking about it, he thought of Baoguang Temple. If you talk about the most mysterious place in the world of red eyes, the first is the glacier in the northern region, and the second is the Baoguang Temple. Because Baoguang Temple there is a true immortal. Moreover, it has been widely rumored that the Master Fan Xin who opened Baoguang Temple was a monk in the infant transformation stage. But it was not the case. In Wei Jiuxian's view, the other party must be a monk in the phase. Otherwise, how could it be possible to seal another great cultivator of the outer god phase realm 1,000 years ago? Moreover, the sealed god phase realm is from the 1,000-foot tribe, and its strength has reached the peak of the god phase realm, and it is one step away from the shattered void. If you can seal such a character, then this Tang dynasty's son-in-law is likely to have the strength to shatter the void. And the woman in front of her has a high probability of knowing that Master Fan Xin. Your Excellency is wrong. Wei Jiu laughed slyly. The cold woman said with a rare smile. You miss an old friend of mine very much. I wanted to search your soul, but now I have changed my mind. Oh, a smile leaked from the corner of Wei Jiuxian's mouth, and said, Although Wei has not reached the realm of the gods, he has some confidence. I am invincible under the gods, and the gods are exchanged. When you say these words, it's more like it. After the cold woman finished speaking, her eyes flashed, and a sharp sword eye broke out instantly. The sudden terrifying sword qi did not make Wei Jiuxian panic, but just raised his hand and waved the sword qi to dissipate it. But the bottom of his heart was particularly shocked, just to look his arm numb. If he really does it, he may not be able to make 3 moves under the opponent's hands. However, he also has a trump card, and the change of the gods is not just talking about it. It's just this whole card that he can't use easily. The strength is good, but if you want to change your life with the gods, it's still a little worse. The cold woman turned around and left. Wei Jiuxian got up at this time and asked, I don't know your name, Tebu? Fu Qing. After the cold woman finished speaking, she immediately broke through the air and left, heading straight for Mongshan County. Wei Jiuxian chased after the entrance of the ancient castle, And while looking at Mongshan County, two powerful breaths flashed across the sky. It's the two Arhats here. This is not surprising to him, because he already knew it. Datong still has some trump cards, and he naturally has to make good use of it. One person alone cannot sweep away this old snow. Fan Xian, you should be there soon. Wei Jiaxian's eyes flickered, and his eyes turned to the north. Northern Glacier. The cold wind is fierce. This place is extremely unsuitable for mortals to live in. But it is a paradise for monks, because the ancient glory is buried here. The scene where the myriad immortals ascended seemed to be just yesterday. The perennial snow has made glory sink under the glacier. In the white world, a figure in black is particularly dazzling. His face is haggard, but his eyes are full of light. More than 1,000 years enough, it's worth it. He took one step and directly climbed the iceberg. This is the polar region of the glaciers in the northern region, and the highest position in the world. Looking from here, overlooking the entire Red-Eye realm. Fan Xian Fanshin Go. The haggard-faced monk head folded his hands, silently reciting the Buddhist scriptures, and streaks of golden light erupted behind him. The surging power erupted from the top of the mountain, and countless golden lights burst out, piercing the white glacier. The light appeared, and a huge vibration erupted into the glacier. Under the illumination of the Buddha's light, the silence of the place has been broken for thousands of years. Countless cave dwellings in the glacier collapsed, and many monks who were in retreat were also awakened. They hurriedly left the cave dwelling that was about to collapse, and burst into the air. After seeing the scene below, they all revealed expressions of horror. Who is it? Dare to destroy the Tianshan Mountains? Do you want to die? Damn, I have been in retreat for 1,000 years, and I have just realized the mystery of breaking through the realm of the gods. Who disturbed me? Most of these loose cultivators who have been in seclusion all year round did not go to Mongshan County, and there were not many of them, but their strength was not weak. At this moment, they all looked at the golden light on the towering iceberg. Look, it's Buddha light. On the top of the sky, the black-clothed monk head ignored the loose cultivators of the northern glaciers, but silently closed his eyes. The moment he closed his eyes, he glanced at this world and recalled everything he had experienced. When the eyes are closed, it is a different way for humans and ghosts, and the separation between heaven and human beings. This person is the son-in-law of the Tang dynasty and the founder of Baoguang Temple. Yijian Wushuang will be very surprised to see him, because this person is the mortal who received them when they entered Baoguang Temple. No, Fanshin, also called Fanshin. All mortals and mortal hearts have understood, and it is already the day of the end. When he sits and transforms, the heavens and the earth cease, and the Buddha's light disappears. The vitality is also instantly drained. Those scattered cultivators of the northern glaciers were stunned. Just died like this? They don't understand. How is the inheritance shot in the Tianshan Mountains? There should be some movement. But in the end there is no movement, and that person has fallen. An inexplicable fear rose up in the hearts of everyone. I feel the great terror. Chapter 63-32. Me too. It seems like I'm under the glacier. At this time, someone recognized the identity of Fanshin and exclaimed, "He is the heart of 1,000 years ago, and the dust of 1,000 years later." That infatuated monk from Datong? That's right. At this time, everyone suddenly understood. The very lucky boy 1,000 years ago had an inheritance in the glacier, and his strength rose by leaps and bounds. And now it has fallen silently. Obviously it has something to do with the original inheritance. Just as the waves in their hearts were turbulent, Tianshan trembled, and a terrifying aura erupted from the ground. Everyone took a sip. Below there seems to be something. That breath is the source of terror. A cultivator in the infant transformation stage stared at the crack in the Tianshan Mountains in horror. At this time, a white light appeared in the distance, and then a man in white clothes and a tall crown appeared. When he saw the corpse of Fanshin, he couldn't help sighing. It's too late. This person is the true immortal of Baoguang Temple, and is a good friend with Fanshin. And he also has an identity, that is, a monk in the upper realm. Known as a true immortal, It is also because he is in the upper realm. He is really an immortal. You shouldn't have fallen like this. Your talent is far beyond mine. Once I ask the master to come, I can definitely take you away. Why go back to an ancient demon? He couldn't help sighing. He doesn't understand this kind of thing. Maybe it's because he's from the upper realm. Ordinary people pay attention to cause and effect, and practitioners also pay attention to cause and effect. But no matter how great cause and effect are, they can't block their own cultivation path. But Fanchon is able to die and understand the cause and effect willingly. This is a very stupid thing in the eyes of real practitioners. At that time, Fanchon took the benefits of the ancient demon and promised the other party that he would release the ancient demon when he had fully understood the secret method. But he also has a requirement, that is, not to hurt mortals. The recovery of the ancient demon can slaughter the monks in the world, but it must leave a way for mortals. Both sides agreed verbally. Mortal Chun repaid the kindness, but the ancient demons may not keep their promises. So Zhenxian felt that Fanchon was too stupid and naive. Now that the ancient demons have recovered, I wonder if the world will be peaceful. Oh, I hope you don't go too far. Zhenxian sighed, glanced at the terrifying ancient demon that was about to break out of the ice, turned and left the place. If he wants to return to the upper realm, in addition to the help of the strong in the division, he can also shatter the void again and leave, but the power required is too huge. Originally, he wanted Fanchon to help, but the other party wanted to die. It's up to you now, but Mongshan County is a good option. And his sister-in-law has gone. He should also go back to clean up the mess now, get that power and be promoted again. The true immortals walked away lightly, and those scattered cultivators of the northern glaciers were miserable. It was already too late to leave at this time. The ancient demon shattered the glacier, stretched out a sharp claw, and directly crushed an infant cultivator to death. Wow! The blood made the ancient demon extremely excited. He howled, and his entire body broke free from the Tianshan Mountains. Oh eyes! The ancient demon broke free from the shackles of the iceberg and completely appeared between heaven and earth. He is 100 feet tall, with 9 heads, 8 arms and 6 feet. Each head is extremely ferocious, but the head has no eyes, only a large mouth of blood. The eyes of the ancient demon are on the chest. It was a blood-colored eye, like a big fireball. Very dazzling. Looking at the monks who had received the inheritance of the divine eye, a ray of light burst out from the blood eyes, and the monk who was hit became on the spot. Only the powder that the flesh turned into was left, and the power and blood were absorbed by the ancient demons. Wow, haha, the taste of blood. I haven't tasted it for a long time. All the creatures in this world will become my nourishment. The ancient demons attacked the entire northern glaciers and hunted cultivators frantically. Despite his huge body, his speed is not slow at all. One step is 100 miles away. The infant transformation cultivators scattered and fled, but 90% of them were still dead. Only 10% got away with it. But they knew that there would be no more peaceful people in this world. Even if he escaped now, once the ancient demons are staring at him, there is no way to hide this acre of land in the Red Eye realm. It didn't take long for the ancient demon to traverse the Scarlet Eye realm. One day, all the monks will be hunted down. But despair returns to despair. Even if there is a glimmer of hope, they will fight for it. Dao Kuei is in the Tang dynasty in the eastern land. Hurry up and join forces with Dao Kuei. Then the ancient demon probably won't go to the Tang dynasty for a while. Everyone flees separately. Datong gathers. It is good. The surviving digital infant cultivators nodded, then dispersed and fled wildly. As expected, the ancient demon did not chase after him immediately, but started to destroy the glacier in the northern region. Wanyan Xianbing was smashed to pieces by the 8 arms of the ancient tomb. Through the blood-red eyes, the entire northern territory glaciers were turned into a vast ocean. This is the strength of the ancient demon. It is no longer simple for you to break the void. Now the ancient tomb has the strength beyond the realm of the gods. God-eye inheritance. 8 arms of the ancient demon surrounded a colorful hall and directly pulled it out of the sea. It turned out to be the inheritance of the third sequence. No wonder I was suppressed here. 108 ancient regions gave birth to 108 of our gods and demons. 72 were killed. And now the rest are I am afraid they will all be suppressed by the Divine I clan. Ancient demons are extremely intelligent. He is also a powerhouse in the upper realm. And the oldest group of congenital beings are special beings, whose life genes far exceed those of acquired beings, and their natural divine power is thousands of times that of ordinary people. The original world had just formed an ancient domain, and each of their ancient demons had inexhaustible resources, and they quickly cultivated to a very strong height. But later, with the continuous increase in the number of human races, and the high level of comprehension, even if there is no ancient demon's powerful level of divine power, it still rises. And the speed of the rise made them too late to react. You must know that the ancient demon slept once for tens of thousands of years, or even longer. At the beginning, the human race was not considered at all, and they were all kept as poultry in captivity. But when they reacted, the human race had already appeared a super existence that could rival them. And the number is still increasing. They wanted to suppress them, and these human races united and established the Heavenly Court. At the beginning, the Heavenly Court respected the inheritors of the Divine Eye. The strength of those inheritors is against the sky one by one, not only catching up with their footsteps, but also quickly surpassing the ancient demons. In just tens of thousands of years, the age of ancient demons was shattered. The ancient demons have been beheaded continuously, and the ancient domains have also fallen into the hands of the human race. Until the last 36 ancient demons fought to the death. Even if they lost, they would shatter their ancient domain and not leave it to the human monks. That's why the ancient domain was broken. For the ancient demon, the fragmentation of the ancient realm is equivalent to self-destruction of the foundation. Chapter 63:33 destroyed the ancient domain, and its own strength also declined greatly. In the end, they were suppressed one by one, or they were beheaded and refined into magic weapons. The ancient devil is full of treasures, especially blood. This is also the reason why the human race frantically besieged the ancient demons. Fortunately, there was a problem within the heaven at this time. The powerhouse of the Divine I clan suddenly fell, and the inheritance of the Divine I was recovered a lot, and the siege of the ancient demons stopped. And the reason he survived was because of the subsequent repression. He was suppressed by a peerless sword immortal in the Red-Eye world, and the magic weapon used to suppress him was the third sequence Divine I Inheritance Hall. He hated this hall too much. The rise of the human race was because of the inheritance of the God I race. Later he was suppressed because of the Divine I clan, so he hated the Divine I Inheritance. I want to shatter this Divine I Inheritance Hall. However, when he found out that it was the third sequence Inheritance Palace, he gave up. Even in the upper realm, this third sequence Inheritance Hall is the top-level inheritance of Divine Eyes, and he can't break it at all. Even the existence that suppressed him back then couldn't break through this hall. Otherwise, that person would not use this hall to suppress him. Since it can't be broken, I will use you to destroy the entire Red-Eye realm. The ancient demon sneered, and he didn't care at all about what he promised Fanshan. Originally it was an exchange. Without his help, Fanshan would have died long ago, and there is no place for the glory of the Tang dynasty. Speaking of which, the brilliance of the Tang dynasty was created by him. Kindness. The ancient demon's huge eyes turned for a moment. His mind power covered thousands of miles around, and he noticed that the cultivators who escaped were all heading towards the Tang dynasty. The direction of Dongta made him feel a familiar breath, and that breath also came from the blood of the ancient demons. There is actually a same clan in the Red-Eye realm? The ancient demon was stunned for a moment, and then he was pleasantly surprised to discover that the existence with the same aura as him had lost its life force, and was obviously a dead thing. I didn't expect my luck to be so good. As long as I absorb that power, I will be able to recover to the peak. Even if I don't have the ancient realm, I can go to the upper realm to grab an ancient realm. And then I will have a good time with the God I clan, and those who inherited it. Those who do the math. After paying attention, He held up the entire Divine Eye Inheritance Hall and flew to the 9 heavens. Get some interest first. The ancient demon raised the Inheritance Hall and smashed directly into the realm of chaos above the 9 heavens. That is the hardest space in the entire Red Eye realm. None of the gods in the Shattered Void and Ascension can shatter the chaotic void and soar. They are all space under the shattered 9 days. The best of them can shatter the first day, or even the first day. 2 days have been amazing. According to legend, someone accepted the complete inheritance of the Divine Eye and shattered the space of the 9th day. But the space of the 9th day, in the final analysis, still belongs to the Red Eye world, and the chaotic void does not belong to this world. It belongs to a higher world. Once broken and ascended, it is likely not to go to the 72 ancient regions. Of course, this is just a guess, but he will do it now. Break the chaotic void, introduce chaotic airflow, and make the world of Red Eyes a dead world. Smash me, boom. The ancient demon raised the Divine Eye Inheritance Hall and slammed into the chaos realm. Suddenly the whole world shook. Not only is the Northern Territory shaking, but the entire Red Eye realm is shaking. Kindness. The ancient demon looked a little surprised at the chaos realm, but there was not even a single crack. The blow just now was enough to shatter 9 heavens. It didn't even leave a trace on the chaos world. Damn, the strength is too powerful. If there is no suppression of heaven, I can easily break this chaos world. The ancient demon smashed it several times, but still failed to break through the chaos realm, and gave up directly. Since the chaos realm cannot be broken, then the 9 heavens will be broken, and there will be no ascenders in this world from now on. Wuxia smiled and fell into the 9 heavens. Boom. This time there was more movement. The entire Red Eye world continued to shake for a stick of incense, and some flat bottoms suddenly gave birth to mountains, and some places that were originally mountains became gaps. This kind of supernatural ability to change the terrain has caused countless deaths and injuries to mortals. What's more terrifying is still behind. The ancient demon's broken 9 days turned into space fragments and fell from the sky. Countless black space crystals turned into rainwater and sprinkled on the world. 9 heavens was broken, and the human world merged with the crystallization of the 9 heavens space, which enhanced the originally fragile space several times. In this way, all monks have no hope of shattering the void and ascending. Since then, soaring has become a swan song. It's just that the people in the deep Mongshan County did not notice any changes in the outside world. On the other hand, the really immortal Tooth was itchy, watching the black rain dripping from the sky, and said angrily, "Wait, as long as you dare to go to the upper realm, I will kill you." What he hates is not that the Jyotian space is broken, nor is it that the Red Eye realm can no longer soar. The anger is that the other party integrated the Third Order Inheritance Hall into the broken 9 days. In this way, it will become more difficult for him to enter the third sequence Divine Eye Inheritance Hall. Entering the Red Eye realm is for this Inheritance Hall. As a result, it was thrown into the space debris by the idiot of the ancient demon. At this moment it seems to be floating in the sky, but to get in, it needs the same space debris. And those fragments merged into the ground space. Finding the same pieces is as difficult as going to the sky. Big trouble. Zhenxian and his younger sister Fu Qing are stationed in the castle outside the city. Wei Jiuxian also looked at the raindrops falling from the sky, but there was no fear in his eyes. As if everything was to be expected. Seeing his appearance, Zhenxian seemed to have guessed something and asked, "Fanshan left you behind?" "It's just a little trick," Wei Jiuxian replied in a daze. "The true immortal side." "Then don't do anything in action. Save your means and run away." This ancient demon once controlled an ancient domain, and his power is not comparable to those of you mortals. "How will you know if you don't try?" Wei Jiuxian said firmly. Zhenxian and Fu Qing looked at each other, with a look of arrogance in their eyes, which was disdain for mortals. Because they come from the upper realm, and no more. In the entire Red Eye realm, he also recognizes the mortal world alone. The power of the upper realm is not as simple as those described in the inheritance, but it is so powerful that mortals can't imagine it. Because the current upper realm is no longer the era of ancient demons. Most of the records in the inheritance are the era of ancient demons, and the era when the human race united against ancient demons has long passed. However, although it is countless times stronger than before, its strength in the lower realm has been suppressed. Although the strength of the ancient demons is also suppressed by the heaven, but their own strength is 1,000 times that of the human race, they are still not opponents. Dear, click in and give a good review. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that after giving full marks to Xiangshu novels, they found a beautiful wife at the end. Chapter 63-34. If you want to win, you must pay some price, and this price may make them fall. It's really not possible. I will crush the token given by the master, and with the strength of the master, it is easy to come to this world, and I can also kill the ancient demons and obtain the inheritance hall. Zhenxian felt ruthless in his heart, but he wouldn't crush the token until it was a last resort, because it is related to his status in the division, and there is only one token for this kind of help. Once you use it, it's gone. If you want to get it later, you don't know when you will have to wait. If you need the help of the master in the mortal world, you can't let him rise up in the same sect. Senior brother, there seems to be some movement in the city. Fu Qing frowned and looked in the direction of the city. Zhenxian also glanced over. As soon as the thought force moved, he felt that the soul force was growing wildly. His eyes froze for a moment, and his tone was surprised. What's going on? Those monks who entered Mongshan County, why are the power of their souls increasing rapidly? Under the induction of mind power, he directly penetrated the barrier that isolated Mongshan County, and felt the rapid growth of the soul power of the monks in the city. The soul power of the digital infant monks has reached the realm of the gods. This accident was even more surprising than when he saw the ancient demon, because the increased power of the soul is permanent. I didn't expect that there is such a secret technique in the mortal world. Junior sister, let's hurry in. Zhenxian was overjoyed. He noticed that after those cultivators killed Ghost Xiao, they automatically absorbed Ghost Xiao's soul power, which was the reason why their soul power skyrocketed. And the reason for all this is because of the enchantment of Mongshan County. It is said that it is an enchantment, but it is actually more like a large formation. Those ghost cultivators devoured each other and produced stronger ghost cultivators because of this great formation. After Zhenxian finished speaking, Fu Qing's complexion also changed. The soul practice method is the most mysterious practice method. Even in the upper realm, it is also the top secret method, even if neither of them have practiced the complete soul secret method. Therefore, the power of the soul is only one level higher than the realm. It is not the top, but practicing the secret technique of the soul can increase the power of the soul, so as to fully exert the combat power of its own realm. The power of the soul in their cognition is used in this way. If you reach Yinxian, the power of the soul will not be used like this. Because Yinxian can control some of the heavens, the requirements for the power of the soul are even higher. At the time of the emperor, mastering the Tao and controlling a magnificent world requires more soul power. Therefore, they will cultivate the soul secret technique to increase their own mind power, so as to control the Tao. But this increase does not belong to itself. Just like Jian Wushuang's eternal change, the power required to increase is greater, and its own divine power has not actually increased. Only increasing one's own divine power is the most important thing. The same is true of the power of the soul. Only the increase in nature is the most useful. Once the power of the soul exceeds the two levels of their own realm, the two of them can definitely enter the core of the teacher's door, become a contemporary daozi, and practice more powerful secret methods. The only pity is that this is the mundane world. That's why they want to get this kind of formation of captive ghosts. Once they get this formation, don't say that they will invite the master to come. Even if they invite the first powerhouse of the sect to come, the other party will have any complaints. Instead, they will be rewarded. But there is one thing that they have to screen in advance. That is whether there is a higher level of this large formation. If not, then the value is a lot of small joy. but it can also be used to train low-level disciples, which is also considered a great achievement. Anyway, it can be compared to that token of his own. This is the real plan. Wei Jiuxian in the castle was at a loss, just watched the two leave without following. He has more important things to do here. Inside Mongshan County, Jian Wushuang, who hadn't shown up for a long time, sat cross-legged on the city wall and watched the slaughter between the monks and the ghost repairers, and had no interest in it, because his soul realm is too high. In the 9 Prisons Pagoda, his soul realm already has the level of Yinxian. In the mortal world, he has also risen to the pinnacle of the realm of gods. There is no need to kill these ghost cultivators to improve the soul realm, but Xiang Yang and Jiang Shang needed it, as well as Yang Xiao and the 1,000-foot Saintess, and under his guidance, they went downstairs to kill Ghost Xiu early. In fact, he found this benefit from the very beginning, but he just felt that there was no need to say it, because it was completely inconsistent with what he wanted. But now I can't find the altar, so I sent them to kill the ghosts below, thinking that all these ghost repairs have been eradicated. Will they find the answer? No way, now he can only rely on this stupid method to test. Swish! 2 breaths rose into the sky and instantly descended on Mongshan County. The intensity of the breath surpassed the previous 9 dust immortal. Definitely the powerhouse in the realm of gods. It's 2 more gods, and there are 4 of them. The Tang dynasty is really deep enough. Jian Wushuang frowned a little surprised. There were 2 monks who came before, both of them in the early stage of the gods with average strength. But the 2 gods who came this time, the lowest is the late god's cultivator. At this moment, he also plunged into the vast ghost repair, and began to fight hard. Their beheading speed is much faster than those of the 3 parties. Of the 3 major forces, the 2 strongest are only the early and middle stages of the divine phase realm. As for the southern heaven realm, it is the most ostentatious, the weakest, and does not have a single god phase realm. Also the most embarrassing one. The 3 major forces are divided into 3 regions. The 2 arhats went to another area. Zhenxian and Fu Qing, who came later, went to the central area. But the speed of the siege is still not enough, and it will take at least an hour to kill the whole ghost repair. No, the gods and demons in the sky won't give them so long. Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart. He noticed the demon in the sky when the seal was broken. Although there is an enchantment here, how can he lose much of his exploration? Even Zhenxian and Fu Qing can feel the things in the city from the outside world, let alone Jian Wushuang. He was also surprised when he noticed that the gods and demons were born. Why is this mortal world able to withstand gods and demons? But it was found that the strength of the other party was also suppressed, and he was relieved. Even he was suppressed by this world, let alone that and demon. It seems that I have to do it myself. Although I don't like the power of the soul, I have to make a move now. As long as he finds the altar and obtains those powers, he can quickly absorb it and reach the peak of the phase. At that time, the demon would no longer be his opponent. Don't look at his mortal body now, but every time his strength grows, he can use hundreds of thousands of more secret techniques and supernatural powers. And they are all top-level supernatural powers. Chapter 6335. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Killing a demon of the same level is simply an easy task. Infant transformation is not that obvious yet, but once you reach the realm of gods, it is a leap. Because of the secret techniques recorded in his mind, the weakest is the Myriad Vientian secret technique. With his powerful soul power, he has to wait until the realm of the gods to be able to cultivate. In his eyes, those small tricks were not even secret methods. However, burning thought power does not count, because this does not depend on the realm's strength, but on the power of the soul. Chen Yuan, don't move around here, I'll go back when I go. Jian Wushuang instructed, and then broke through the air. The figure flew directly to the center of the city. At this moment, he is no longer hiding his breath, and he just appeared in the sky above the 2 gods. After Zhenxian and Fu Qing felt Jian Wushuang's breath, they just frowned slightly, feeling that Jian Wushuang was a little ignorant and dared to come to their area to ghost Xiao. I originally wanted to educate me, but the next moment a terrifying thought force suddenly descended on the whole city. Mind power burns. Jian Wushuang snorted softly. The whole boat's thought power exploded at the same time, burning exponentially, and the terrifying suppressing force suddenly made the ghost repairers in the whole city stand in place and couldn't move. Destroy! Jian Wushuang patted it with one hand, and the huge palm print formed by the power of thought was like a divine weapon descending from the sky. With just one move, 90% of the ghost repairers were crushed. Among them, there is also the ghost handsome who has the soul power of the gods. But still Doi Jian Wushuang was easily crushed to death. If it is the real god phase realm, it may not be able to crush the opponent, but it is only a spiritual body, and he has no difficulty in dealing with it. All the monks who were shocked by this move were sweating coldly behind their backs. Jian Wushuang, who looked at the sky at the same time, Zhenxian and Fu Qing were the same, with disbelief in their eyes. The suppression of the thought power just now made both of them shocked. Without the thought of resistance, they struggled for a few breaths before reacting. The coercion of such a powerful thought force absolutely surpassed the realm of the gods. Zhenxian looked at Jian Wushuang's figure and exclaimed, "Could it be that he has already reached the Vientiane realm? Impossible! The heavenly way of the mortal world will never allow the existence of the Vientiane realm. Once it exists, it will be killed. Only by becoming a transcendence can it be done." Fu Qing retorted, but the reality was in front of them, and they had to believe it. Could he be a detached existence? But the breath could not deceive the two of them. Jian Wushuang's breath is very weak, only in the infant transformation stage. If it weren't for the lack of time, he could have gone to the outside world to absorb those scattered space crystals. But it was too troublesome to collect. Unlike the ones he got from Jiuchen, they were all made by others. Even if he scoured the entire Mongshan County, he couldn't find such a large piece. Even if he was lucky enough to find the same space crystal as before, after absorbing it, at most the early stage of advanced gods, it was still not enough for gods and demons to fight. He had to get that power inside the altar. But with such a powerful thought force, he couldn't find the altar, and he was more anxious than anyone at this moment. Regardless of the surprised expressions of those people, Nianli continued to investigate Mongshan County. The remaining ghost cultivators were quickly killed by the cultivators. After all, everyone wanted something that could grow their soul. In the empty city, after the ghost repair was gone, it was a lot quieter. The monks also started looking for the altar, even started destroying houses to find them. Zhenxian and Fu Qing lost interest and were about to leave. Just before leaving, "I want to test Jian Wushuang." But before they could test it out, Jian Wushuang burst out with a terrifying thought force that shook the two back. "Idiot, is that demon staring outside? If you don't hurry to find the altar, when that demon arrives, you will all be finished." Jian Wushuang was also a little annoyed at the moment. He will not die, nor will Jiang Shang and Xiang Yang, because he has the 9-prison tower. The big deal is to let the soul clones in the tower make an opening and let them enter the treasure for refuge. As for the defensive power of the treasure, let alone the gods and demons in the outside world, even if Dian Immortal came, it could not be broken. It's just that it will be difficult to break the void. I'm afraid he'll be stuck for a long time. He didn't want to be trapped, and he would have to toss at that time. The point is to not want to be stuck in the mortal stage. Because of this stage, he cannot improve the strength of the deity. If the deity is trapped, you can still cultivate and improve your strength to break the cage. But now the deity is gone. Once he is trapped, it is a waste of time, and the improved strength will not help the deity. And he wants to explore the world, not be trapped in this world. After Zhenxian and Fu Qing were scolded, they were stunned for a moment, and then sarcastically said, "It's just a small altar, so what if you find it? I thought you should have some insight with such a strong mind, but it turned out to be a bottom of a well. Frog, don't you know the ancient demon? It is an innate spirit bred in the ancient domain. Even if your combat power reaches the peak of the gods, you will not be an opponent. Let me tell you one more thing. If you want to break the void, Don't think about it. Now the space on the ground is stronger than the original 9 days. Even if you become the pinnacle of the gods, you will not be able to break through the space and leave. Frog at the bottom of the well. Jian Wushuang laughed at himself. He could see that the soul power and realm of the two people in front of him were suppressed. It must be a strong person from the upper realm. I originally thought that the upper realm is so huge, and it can be regarded as a low-level chaotic world. Now it seems that either the world is too weak, or the monks are too stupid, and have no knowledge at all. The so-called ancient demons are congenital gods and demons, which is the unified name of the outside world. Also, the altar here is far from simple. If it is only the power of the sealed peak of the gods, how could he not find it? The most important thing is that the formation here is special, allowing ghosts to devour each other and grow. This special formation has nurtured so many ghost cultivators, but it is not from today. It has been at least 10 days since Yang Xiao discovered that this place was strange. Judging from the speed of Jian Wushuang's calculation, the ghosts who appeared on tonight were all just promoted. That is to say, those ghost cultivators who had advanced to the previous stage were all taken away. And the purpose of bred so many ghost repairs is to revive the imperial concubine. So what's up with the power of the altar? The two don't seem to have much to do with each other. But if you want to go deeper, you can figure out that the imperial concubine is just a chess piece, and the resurrection is also the achievement of the Tang Emperor. Then the power of the altar, 80% has now fallen into the hands of Emperor Tang. This is also the reason why the other party has never appeared. In addition to these, Jian Wushuang also felt a special breath from those ghosts, which was very similar to gods and demons. Chapter 63:36. It means that not only the power of the gods is sealed in the altar, but also the power of gods and demons may be sealed. Once this power is obtained, let alone Jian Wushuang alone, even with Xiang Yang and Jiang Shang, it cannot be exhausted. Even those monks in the city who have improved a lot because of the power of killing ghost cultivators, and then gain the power of gods and demons, can reach the level of the broken void. Even if the space is now stronger than before, it can be broken with the power of gods and demons. It was just these words that he was too lazy to explain to the other party. Whether or not you can understand it is up to you. It doesn't matter if he leaves or stays, but if he dares to make trouble, he will never be soft-hearted. Zhenxian and Fu Qing snorted coldly and had no plans to leave. Although they were not very clear, they also chose to find the altar. At this moment, in the south of the city, after a 2-story attic was overturned, there was a sense of death. At the same time, the same thing happened from the southwest. Jian Wushuang's thought power instantly gathered. With 2 directions, the strangeness was quickly seen. There is still a hidden formation. Jian Wushuang frowned and immediately said, Xiang Yang, take Jiang Shang to the city wall. The two are only Jindan cultivators. If they encounter danger, they may die instantly, and there are no shortage of 2 Jindan cultivators in the city. It's safer to let them go to the city walls. Xiang Yang and Jiang Shang did not hesitate, and flew directly towards the city wall. At this moment, there are constantly dying sellers in the city. The dead aura quickly filled the entire county town. Death Formation Ghost Repair Altar. The 3 joined together, and Jian Wushuang spied on the purpose of the person behind him. This is not to revive the imperial concubine. It is more like resurrecting the soul from a corpse. As for the princess, it was just one of the appetizers. 108 sellers are the foundation of the Great Formation. The people who set up this Great Formation are not ordinary. Jian Wushuang commented indifferently. He is not afraid of the other party's use of means, but he is afraid that the other party will not be able to hide all the time. Now that the big formation has appeared, it is not far from the appearance. Showing off now is giving him a chance. For Jian Wushuang, the formation method is not complicated. The formation eyes are not a set of 0 or 8 sellers, but those dead auras. This is the point of driving the big array. As long as he suppresses the death energy, he can stop the big formation, and the other party will definitely jump out to trouble him. Jian Wushuang was not prepared to do so, He wanted to see what the other party was going to do. Who are you going to borrow the corpse for when you set up this great formation? So he wasn't in a hurry. But the rest of the monks panicked and began to suppress the dead aura of those sellers. In groups of 3 or 5, they formed a simple battle formation to suppress the seller. It is a pity that there are not enough manpower, and only a dozen sellers can be suppressed. This will only slow down the speed of the large formation, but it cannot stop it. The true immortal and Fu Qing also did not take action to suppress the formation, and remained silent. I want to wait. Jian Wushuang returned to the city wall. Watching the scene in the city, his mind power was always staring at the monks in the city. Brother Wushuang, this big formation is a bit strange, especially the dead energy. Why do I think it's similar to when we entered here? Xiang Yang looked at the dead energy, gushing out with a puzzled look. Those dead auras were indeed the same as the ones that erupted when they entered. But the dead energy at that time was countless times stronger than the one here. The most important thing is that there is a special aura in the original death aura. There is still some difference with the death atmosphere here. It's a bit similar, but it doesn't matter much. He explained to Xiang Yang. Do you remember the monsters we encountered before we entered this place? If I guess correctly, those monsters were killed by people during their lifetime. Yes, and the pit killed a lot, so that's why so much death energy is condensed. Killed by someone? But there are 6-star universe gods among those monsters. Xiang Yang exclaimed, forgetting the sound transmission. Yang Xiao and others were stunned when they heard the universe god. The 1,000-foot saintess also did not follow the wild tribes of Miao Renfeng, because she felt that following Jian Wushuang might be able to inquire about a lot of things. As a result, I am now at a loss. God of the universe? What kind of level is that? These people may have never heard of the existence of the cosmos in their entire lives. So how can they understand the power of the cosmos god? Jian Wushuang ignored everyone's doubts and said indifferently, the ghosts here can devour and evolve, and those monsters must be the same. It turns out that, but even so, I am afraid that the existence of those monsters, who killed those monsters, must be the of the universe. Otherwise they would not be able to control those monsters. Xiang Yang was still a little worried. Although not much power has been restored yet, it is still for the sake of the future. If this world had an incomparably powerful cosmic god, he would have no confidence at all. Because when he was at his peak, he was only the master of the universe in the 9 tribulations realm. The power of the demigods has reached the sky. As for cosmic gods with more than 6 stars, that is something that one can't even think about. There's no need to think so much. If there are many powerful universe gods in this world, it won't affect you much if you can't get out. Indeed, Xiang Yang is just the master of the universe in the 9 tribulations realm. If this world has a super existence among the universe gods, then his cultivation in this world is no different from the outside world. Besides, the Xiang family is already doomed, and if he goes out, he will probably be hunted down by his enemies. If there is a better chance at this time, you can choose to cultivate in this world. Just like Xing Luo, he is clearly in a bigger world, but he has to return to this world. I am afraid that it is because of some inheritance reasons that he may not be able to improve in the outside world. It is better to return to this world and continue to improve his strength. Xiang Yang is just obsessed with each other. Why not stay and be a son-in-law 100 times better than going out? Of course he didn't say it. After chatting with Xiang Yang for a while, he continued to observe Mongshan County. Unlike Xiang Yang, his deity is extremely powerful, and he is already the pinnacle of the 9-star universe gods. Once he recovered, let alone this world, even the world god continent would not be able to trap him. The most important thing is to enter this world. It is likely to be someone's arrangement. Prophet. This Almighty One can erase the memories of some people, but he cannot erase his memories. The other party has helped him several times, and this time he entered this place, and there are some things related to the other party. For example, the strong man who destroyed the Eastern cultivation realm is also known as a prophet. The key point is that he also dreamed of a prophet. In addition, he has now obtained the 9 prison tower. And he is even more certain that it is no coincidence that he entered this world. The prophet must be planning something. Now the red-eye world is only the first level. What he has to do is how to get the beauty of the deity from it. At least the 9 prisons tower is not simple, not like an ordinary treasure. Chapter 63-37. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Getting this treasure was probably also the prophet's plan behind it. And now all the monks in the red-eye world are gathered here, and ancient legends have emerged one by one, obviously with a pair of hands behind them. I just don't know that I'm not the protagonist yet. Just as his mind was full of thoughts, a sudden change occurred in the city. The dead energy in the sky began to condense and form, and a powerful force erupted. That's it. Jian Wushuang looked up at the clouds in the city, and immediately noticed that there was a very powerful soul force inside. Swish! Countless souls suddenly burst out of the cellar, and rushed towards the clouds in the sky with the death energy. And those spirit bodies are different from the ghost cultivators in the previous city, because these spirit bodies are more complete. He is no longer at the level of Ghost Handsome, and there is still a king character on his chest. Is this the Ghost King? 108 Ghost Kings emerged from the 108 cellars, each of which was the spirit body of a general. Coupled with the power of the soul body that had erupted in the clouds, after the fusion, an unprecedented power of soul suddenly erupted. Seeing this scene, Jian Wushuang, Zhenxian and Fu Qing all knew that they couldn't ignore it like this. This great formation could very well breed a peerless existence, even comparable to that ancient demon. In an instant, I couldn't control so much, and they all tried to stop those fusion soul bodies. The real immortal started with the of Kunlun. The majestic mountain fell from the sky, and the elusive immortal energy was just radiated, and then disappeared. But this majestic mountain alone has reached the peak of the gods. Shake Kunlun! The real immortal shouted angrily, clenched her hands, and the majestic mountain slammed into the clouds. There are countless secret methods around, from each of the infant transformation cultivators and individual cultivators of the divine phase realm. But these means are not enough to shake the clouds of death. Even the towering mountain smashed on it, but it failed to stir up any waves. This time everyone was in a hurry. The soul body in the cloud layer is getting stronger and stronger. A pair of blood-red eyes gradually condensed in the clouds. Junior sister, don't keep it shoot directly, suppress the soul body first. Don't let the soul body condense. I have a hunch that once the soul body is formed, it may break free from the heavens. Zhenxian is very anxious at this moment. He is very familiar with the coercion that transcends the heavenly way, because he has followed the master for a long time, and he has long been familiar with this kind of breath. After Fu Qing heard his brother's words, he no longer hesitated, and drew out the sword behind him, his brows rising with war. Broken Heaven Sword Art. She snorted softly, and the divine sword burst out with the power of shattering the void, and in an instant, 10,000 sword lights burst out. When the sword lights flew out, they quickly condensed into a substantial giant sword, full of laughter, and stabbed the clouds fiercely. The previous wave of attacks was not as powerful as this sword. Even Jian Wushuang, who was standing on the city wall, was a little surprised that the woman's swordsmanship had the fierce aura of her back then, and she was a good swordsman. It's a pity that it is still a bit unqualified to deal with the clouds of death. Although it can penetrate the clouds, the moment of entering, the will to fight is instantly consumed by the power of mind. The heaven-shattering sword without the will to fight is like a sword without a sharp edge. Lost sword intent. It suddenly shattered and withered, but the death cloud also felt a threat, and the speed of absorbing the Ghost King was even faster. Soon the clouds turned into human figures. This is a soul body that is thousands of feet in size, and there is an extra soul-calling flag in his hand. In the Ghost Emperor, the spirit body said, and waved the spirit banner in his hand. The moment he waved the spirit banner, thousands of ghosts howled, and an attack that stabbed the soul, and the cultivators in the infant transformation stage were instantly lost. The combat power, The whole person stood there dumbfounded, unable to move. Only the cultivator of the realm of the gods barely blocked this blow. Jian Wushuang easily blocked this vulgar soul attack with his psychic power, and his psychic power shield even included several cultivators of the golden core stage. Looking at the scene in front of him, Jian Wushuang was confident. When he felt something was wrong before, he felt that the death cloud would condense a terrifying existence, but he did not expect that the condensed ghost emperor could actually perform a soul attack. But it is normal. After all, the opponent is a soul body, and the means of attack can only be soul attack, which is also considered the opponent's strength. The strong soul attack directly swept a large area of monks. If it wasn't for the previous killing of ghost cultivators to increase a wave of soul power, I am afraid that even the cultivators in the infant transformation stage would have been killed collectively. Even so, all the cultivators under Huaying lost their souls. Even the golden core is no exception. Such a wide range of means is similar to the previous Jian Wushuang's psychic burning. But there is one point where the opponent can't compare with Jian Wushuang, because Jian Wushuang can even kill the ghost handsome in the infancy stage. This is because Jian Wushuang's soul secret technique is much higher than the opponent's, and the sky-defying secret technique of burning the soul is simply not something that can be compared in this world. It's interesting, the Ghost Emperor's soul attack probably comes from his own characteristics. That is the secret technique of talent. Jian Wushuang's heart moved, and he saw that the consciousness of the Ghost Emperor should have just formed. The consciousness that has just formed can be able to perform a soul attack, and that must be the secret technique of innate talent. This Ghost Emperor is also considered a congenital soul. It was so powerful just after birth. Isn't the person who arranged all this afraid that this Ghost Emperor would be out of control? Jian Wushuang had just raised this thought, and he felt a familiar aura within the range covered by his mind power. His figure disappeared on the city wall in an instant, and at the same time, he sent a voice transmission to Xiangyang, telling them to leave the city quickly and go to find way outside the city. 9 idle. At least it is much safer than Mongshan County, and he just discovered the cultivators who killed them. After the souls were killed, they still left their complete bodies, but when the familiar aura appeared, those bodies instantly turned into blood. The blood flowed down the ground to the ground. Got you. Jian Wushuang was extremely fast, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. In a dilapidated house in Nancheng, he plunged into the well in the courtyard. That aura emanated from here. I am afraid that even the two peak powerhouses of the gods in the sky did not find it, because the breath was covered by the Ghost Emperor, and it is difficult for ordinary people to find it. But Jian Wushuang did not hesitate to burn his mind power to cover a corner of the city, and did not dare to fall. Just wait for this moment. The other party really leaked out after the appearance of the Ghost Emperor. Thump. After entering the well, looking for the breath, he began to sink continuously. He can find the other party, but the other party can't find his existence. Mind power burns. Jian Wushuang burned his mind power again, completely isolating his own breath. Chapter 6338. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. At this moment in this world, almost no one can find his existence. Kindness. Jian Wushuang, who kept sinking, found that the more he sank, the bigger the space below. After sinking hundreds of feet, the water temperature is also rising. He carefully probed the direction of the breath with his mind power, and after identifying the specific direction, he began to touch it quietly. The closer he got to that breath, the faster his heart beat. Uneasy. Since he entered this world, his body has disappeared, and his soul has been annihilated to the mortal level, but only his state of mind cannot be annihilated. But at this moment, there is something in that direction that can make his mood unstable. This exceeded his expectations. It can affect my state of mind. What is hidden? Could it be the existence of a beyond the universe? This might have flashed through his mind very quickly. It was simply impossible. Immediately, he thought that the current physical body came from space crystals. It is very likely that the thing restrained space, so his heartbeat was so fast, which caused his mood to be unstable. He stopped thinking about it now, calmed down his heartbeat, and moved towards that position quickly. The reason why he was so careful before was not because he was afraid that the opponent's strength far surpassed himself, but because he was worried that the opponent would have a counterproductive effect when he discovered him. It would be troublesome if he ruined his good deeds. After continuing to swim for a stick of incense, a cave dwelling appeared in the depths of the dark water. The entrance of the cave is very small and can only accommodate 2 people side by side. This time Jian Wushuang was extra careful and directly disassembled his body, just like he came out of the 9 prisons tower before, turned into a stream of water, and entered the cave, and it has been sticking to the cave wall. In this way, it is difficult for the other party to detect his existence, even with the naked eye. When he entered the cave, he discovered that the interior was similar to a well, and the further he went inside, the bigger the space. Soon, Jian Wushuang's eyes were full of excitement. He even felt the other party's breathing, but he had not seen the other party's figure. However, it was quickly identified that there were 3 auras in the cave, or 3.5. There are people who only have half-life, and only a wisp of breath left. Among these 3 people, there is one he is very familiar with, and he also chased here based on this breath. 9 dust. After Jian Wushuang came to the depths of the cave, he also saw the appearance of the other party. It was the same as the breath he felt, which was the immortal 9 dust, the original owner of the 9 prisons tower. I thought that the other party might have fallen, but I didn't expect to be alive and arrange such a big battle. Not only did he kill all Jindan monks from the 3 major forces, but he also created the existence of a ghost emperor. There is also a large array of advanced souls. This changed his view of immortal Jiuchen. Originally, he thought that the other party was sitting in a well and watching the sky, but now it seems that he really has some skills. Otherwise, the mysterious treasure such as the 9 prisons pagoda will not be obtained. That is the treasure that can make Dian Xindu go crazy. And now he has not cracked the first layer. The world of the first layer alone can be comparable to the middle world. No ordinary treasure. Some heaven-defying cosmic treasures can breed the secret realm of the universe. Although the space on the first floor of the 9 prisons pagoda is very large, it is still far from the secret realm of the universe, but there are still 8 floors behind, so he can't make a conclusion. If the deity is there, he can completely forcibly crack it, and he can also understand the real power of the 9 prison tower. While leaning against the wall, he spied on the 3 people in the cave, and the woman in white on the stone bed. The white-haired old man is immortal 9 dust. Although his body has changed at this time, his aura is the same as before. There is also a middle-aged man in a black robe, who should be the emperor of the Tang dynasty, Li Miao himself. His strength is only in the middle stage of Huaying. However, immortal Jishin's strength startled him, and he has reached the peak of the gods, similar to the true immortal in the city. No wonder it was able to plan so deeply. The ghost emperor, who is not worried about the outside world, must have some kind of control method. In addition to these 2 exposed people, there is also a middle-aged woman with a stern face. He has never seen or heard of this person, but his strength is not ordinary, and he is already in the middle stage of the phase. Then he began to carefully probe the woman in white on the stone bed with his mind power. Don't ask, this is Princess Yin. There is a ray of soul in her body. This is not surprising. He had previously calculated that the other party has a secret method to preserve the power of mind, and now it seems that he has used the body of the imperial concubine to preserve it, and has been hanging this ray of soul breath. This body, when he probed the body with his mind, his expression changed slightly, because in this fleshly body, there is still a powerful force of all things hidden, and the source is a force of life. He was all too familiar with this breath. At the beginning, he first mastered the Tao of all things, and finally he was promoted to the Tao of life, and he wanted to use this Tao to break through to become the master of the universe. But later found out that this thing didn't seem to suit me, and later, led by Kendo, opened up 9 swords. Even now, Only the first 6 swords have been used, but one of them is named after life. It can be seen that his grasp of the power of life may only lose the of life. This power of life is not innate. It is definitely injected by a strong person who can refine the power of life. But the strongest in this world is not the realm of the gods. How can anyone condense the power of life? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. If it is said that those ancestral realms that transcend the heavenly way or Yinxian have descended, but the imperial concubine was killed. But in 3 years, I have not heard of superpowers appearing in these 3 years. Even the gods were considered to be extinct at the beginning. Right, Jian Wushuang's heart moved, thinking of the Wanlu totem behind Jiangshang. Her mother Jiangshang must have mastered the supernatural ability to condense the power of life. If so, it makes sense. The reason why the imperial concubine didn't die back then was because of Jiangshang. And that life force is very similar to the life force of Wanlu Shenmu. Danbao saved him a lot in those days, and used the life force of Mujidao. The power of life that Jian Wushuang masters itself comes from the equivalent of death. And it is pure power of life. But this power of life can only be controlled by the true of life in the starry sky. That is the of the starry sky beyond time and space. Want to get to that position, unless he kills the opponent first and then inherits. But what he couldn't do even in extinction, he naturally couldn't do it either. Therefore, Miexing wants to devour the of life of the 4 starry sky, after condensing the pure life force. Once the devotion is successful, he can become the of reincarnation, thus bypassing the true of life in the starry sky. The more knowledge you have, the more directions you can analyze. This is a terrible experience but also a rare experience. Chapter 6339. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. At least now Jian Wushuang can see clearly the secret behind this. Jiangshang did appear in the Tang dynasty and rescued the imperial concubine. Just 3 years ago. It has been almost a year since he came to this world. After counting the time, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was because of his arrival that Jiangshang disappeared. Maybe this is possible, but it's just speculation. Just when he was thinking about it, the 3 people in the cave quarreled. Jian Wushuang also raised his ears at this time. No, absolutely not. Double negation. From Immortal 9 Dust and Emperor Li Miao of Tang Dynasty. The 2 were clearly wearing a pair of pants. The middle-aged woman raised her eyebrows, looked at Li Miao and shouted, "Is it possible you want to destroy the ancestors? Stop taking my ancestors to oppress me. Everything I do now is enough to make my ancestors tear me apart." Li Miao was not to be outdone. Counting down the things that he has done, let alone the ancestors, those relatives in Taiyan City can't wait to kill him now. Mainly because he didn't have that strength, he let him go. Otherwise, Wei Jiuxian would not let him go. But the ancestor of Baoguang Temple never made things difficult for him. This was originally what he was most afraid of, but with the immortal master, he was not afraid. Unexpectedly, the old ancestor didn't mean to embarrass him at all, and even asked the guardian to help him preserve the body of the imperial concubine. But now the spirit watcher actually wants to take away the life force in the imperial concubine's body, and use this power to resurrect the princess of the past. That is the witness of the brilliance of the Tang dynasty, and the entire Tang dynasty has changed because of her. It was also because of her that he brought in the first son-in-law of the Tang dynasty, achieved the prosperous Tang dynasty. No wonder the person from Baoguang Temple is so kind. It turns out that he is thinking about this power of life. Little girl, I advise you to stop thinking about it. Seeing that you have been guarding this body for so many years, this old man can make the decision. Help you to ascend. Immortal Jiuchen seemed very polite at this time. It's not that he has a good heart, but that he is worried about what the Baoguang Temple will leave behind for the guardian of the spirit. Now that the big plan is about to be completed, he doesn't want to have an accident at this juncture. Because this place is extremely important, once there is a change, everything will be lost. But the spirit watcher is as determined as he eats a scale to take away that life force. The 3 argued endlessly, and for a while there was a sense of tension. Li Miao, After you make this decision, you will definitely regret it. The guardian sneered and said no more. The full threats made Immortal Jiuchen and Li Miao very upset, but they did not dare to take action at such a critical moment. Can only grit his teeth. Promise her, but you have to revive the imperial concubine first. After you take away the essence in her body, you should still be able to leave some life force behind to revive a little mortal. It should be no problem. Immortal Jiuchen said at this time. The sound was given to Li Miao, but he still did not choose to confront him. When Li Miao heard it, she could only nod her head in agreement. After slowing down her tone, she said to the guardian, I won't give you all the power of life, but I can promise you that the princess will definitely be resurrected. This time, let's head office. Then the princess must be resurrected first. The guardian's tone was still firm. This time, Immortal Jiuchen couldn't help it anymore, and shouted angrily, Don't go too far. Don't think that you can provoke the patience of this old man with some trump cards. After he finished speaking, he directly burst out the coercion of the peak of the phase, and wanted to make the other party bow his head. But it was found that the guardian of the spirit was not affected at all, but sneered. Old man, don't think that I don't know your details. You are not human at all. So don't try those little tricks with me. Before the ancestors go, leave it to me my trump card. Killing the two of you is more than wrong. But the ancestors have explained it. And it is not a last resort. Let me do it. Do you really think I am afraid of you? Not human. After hearing this sentence, Jian Wushuang was stunned. This immortal Master Jiuchen is not a human? This was unexpected for him, thinking that the opponent was beheaded before. And now it appears again. And the strength is so strong, it is relieved. But what can it be if it's not human? Originally guessed that the other party was an ancient monk, but he just stayed in the world. Unexpectedly, the other party is not a human race, but it has a human soul. At this time, the debate has not stopped. Li Miao's face was blue, but he still suppressed the fire. Turning to look at Immortal Jiuchen, he said directly, Immortal Master, is there a way to compromise? Hey! Immortal Jiuchen sighed and frowned. Li Miao, in fact, ascension does not necessarily need to break the void. Can you understand what I mean? As soon as this sentence came out, it also meant that the Immortal Master might want to give up on him. The life force in the Imperial Concubine must be based on the Imperial Concubine. After resurrecting the Imperial Concubine, some can be taken out. But before resurrection, you can't move. Even if you take out a little bit, the remaining life force will instantly dissolve. Now it is time to abandon the Imperial Concubine and his future. Jian Wushuang, who was eavesdropping, could see clearly what the other party meant. In the bottom of my heart, I couldn't help regretting. What a waste, that's the power of life. As long as you absorb the priceless treasure that can improve the gene of life, to even think about resurrecting the princess, and then taking the essence from the other party's body, it's like throwing a watermelon and picking up sesame seeds. Jian Wushuang really wanted to jump out and explain the special power of life to the other party, but unfortunately he couldn't jump out at this time. Otherwise, give each other 2 big ears. Inside the cave, there was a brief calm. The watchman still held his head proudly, and his eyebrows suddenly became detached. Immortal Jiuchen lowered his head, appearing harmless to humans and animals. Li Miao, who was hit in the bottom of his heart, clenched his fists. He closed his eyes slightly, and recalled the acquaintance with the emperor and the beautiful years. Tears dripped from the corners of his eyes. This is the last tenderness for her. Ro! He just said one word, took a deep breath, and then continued. The shackles on the Imperial Concubine's body have been opened. You can directly take that power now. A ray of light flashed across the Imperial Concubine, and the seal was opened. If it weren't for this seal, I'm afraid the spirit guardian would have taken away the power of life long ago. You still have some conscience. After the princess is resurrected, you can continue to be the emperor of the Tang dynasty. After the watchman finished speaking, the ring on his finger flashed, and a green sarcophagus appeared out of thin air. Lying inside is the princess of the early Tang dynasty. Although this was Li Miao's ancestor, He was not excited. Immortal Jiuchen, who was standing beside him, remained silent, but his gaze towards Li Miao had changed. The spirit watcher first tested the life force in the emperor's body, and then opened the sarcophagus and took it out. The lid of the coffin was opened, revealing a pair of peerless honors. This is an honor that makes people feel confused when they see it. Even Jian Wushuang couldn't help but marvel when he saw it. This peerless face could be ranked in the top 100 he had ever seen in his life. Chapter 6340. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. You must know that the people he has met have eaten more than these people. To be able to rank in the top 100 in his eyes, the entire Red Eye world should be honored for this. If the princess was resurrected, it would be right to burn some incense sticks and kowtow to him in the future, because he is the great cosmic god. But before he could wait, when his eyes were dodged from this face, a black light suddenly burst out. The black light was like a knife, and it inserted straight into the chest of the spirit watchman. The black mist leaking from above instantly corroded the soul and body of the spirit guardian, making it too late for the opponent to mobilize his mind power. The backhand is naturally unusable. Immortal Master Yu. Li Miao was also taken aback. There was no sign at all before, and he had accepted his fate. It was a big deal to give up the imperial concubine, and he did not want to affect the big plan. Even give up on breaking the void to soar. But Immortal Jiuchen unexpectedly killed the guardian at this time. But he didn't hint at all before. Don't be stunned, hurry up and put away your ancestors, we should get down to business. Immortal Jiuchen took the black lightsaber and breathed a sigh of relief. This move he only 70% sure. If you miss it, you risk sabotaging the plan. But he was willing to take this risk, and willingly. Li Miao put away the sarcophagus and turned to look at Immortal Master Jiuchen with reddish eyes. Hey, don't say anything. The two of us are in a cooperative relationship. Don't think too much. I just want you to be stronger, so as not to support me in the future. Immortal Jiuchen waved his hand, seemingly indifferent. Care. No matter how hard-hearted Li Miao was, he was silently following this great favor at this moment. The reason why he kept calling the other party Immortal Master was because the other party was no different from his master. It's just that he has never been a teacher, and the other party is also known as Jiuchen Immortal, so he has been calling Immortal Master. The teacher-disciple relationship transcends everything at this moment. The two just looked at each other and started the plan to resurrect the princess. The first is to get Chun Yuan over. Li Miao immediately took out a token and issued an order. To get a mortal to come over, naturally, you don't need to go out in person. But he didn't know that Chun Yuan was no longer in the city at the moment, but in the castle outside the city. Jian Wushuang, who saw all this, had already made arrangements for catching Chun Yuan, and asked them to go to Wei Jiuxian. So naturally he would not worry. However, the relationship between Li Miao and Jiuchen made him feel that it was not easy. The teacher-disciple relationship is very important. This kind of ease is not only very important in the right way, but also in the magic way. The same goes for the followers. There are even some masters who are willing to die, so that their apprentices can walk out of the avenues they have never walked out of themselves. It's like father and son. If the father fails to do it, he wants the son to do it. If the son cannot do it, he will be disappointed, but he will not lose confidence. But if the son can meet his expectations, or even exceed his expectations, then even if he is willing to die, this is the inheritance of the Taoist. Too extreme. Jian Wushuang is neither like nor dislike. After observing for so long, he has never heard anything about the altar. And now the other party wants to resurrect the imperial concubine, which has little to do with him. But the power of life within the imperial concubine was very tempting to him. His current physical body was refined from the space boundary. It is omitted to temper the physical body, and once he recovers the karma of the space one, he will soon be able to elevate the physical body to a new level. However, there is a lot of difference in life force. If he obtains the life force at this time, He can use the enlightenment to let the fleshly body reverse the power of all things in advance, so as to master the way of all things. This will go a long way in getting him back to his prime. But now I haven't found the altar, and I haven't felt the power that was sealed. Once it shows up at this time, even if it takes away the power of life, it will startle the snake. And there are ghost emperors and gods and demons from the outside world. After he gets the power of life, it is difficult to improve his strength in a short period of time. The risk is not worth it. Fortunately, after resurrecting the imperial concubine, the power of life will not disappear. He still has the opportunity to take it away. But the resurrection of the imperial concubine needs Chen Yuan. And then there will be a choice. With a thought, he sent a voice transmission to Xiang Yang. The rest just need to be careful to lurk. As a bystander, look at this human tragedy. But those outsiders are miserable. Outside Mongshan County, Yang Xiao took Xiang Yang and others to the castle and met Wei Jiuxian. The 1,000-foot saintess also followed, and found that all the strong men in her tribe were dead and collapsed on the spot. Fortunately, Wei Jiuxian is not a cautious person. Otherwise she would not be able to live. The rest are fine. It's not your own who died anyway. When Yang Xiao saw Wei Jiuxian, he immediately knelt down on one knee and said respectfully, "Grand Commander in the city." He told everything he had seen and heard. Wei Jiuxian just nodded and said, "You guys stay here now, there should be no safer place than here." "Oh!" Xiang Yang raised his brows, just about to refute, but when he felt the oppression from afar, his complexion suddenly changed. He was all too familiar with that power. It was the breath of gods and demons. What a powerful force. Before he could sigh with emotion, he received Jian Wushuang's voice transmission. The content is very simple. Send Chen Yuan to Tian City. Even if someone comes to Chen Yuan, don't fight back. Xiang Yang was a little surprised by this. Wouldn't this allow Emperor Tang to resurrect the imperial concubine? Could it be that this is good for Jian Wushuang? He just lined up from the bottom of his heart and sat down as Jian Wushuang said. It's just that this time he directly told Chen Yuan the interests of the matter, because there is no need to deceive a mortal, and Chen Yuan has always felt guilty. When he knew that he was the key to resurrecting the imperial concubine, he resolutely walked to Tian City. Wei Jiuxian was naturally aware of this, and did not stop Chen Yuan. Instead, he looked around Xiang Yang curiously. Xiang Yang also looked at Wei Jiuxian at this time, and the two just looked at each other and didn't speak. At the same time, Chen Yuan ran towards Tian City. A group of black-clothed and masked demon cultivators also came towards him, running in both directions, saving a lot of trouble. But it was still noticed by Jinxian and Fu Qing. But they were all dragged by the Ghost Emperor at the moment. Don't be careless at all. There is no time to deal with those Xiao Xiao. Several great gods are in the realm, and they are concentrating on besieging the Ghost Emperor. Buying time for the magic cultivator of Chiangzong. After tying Chen Yuan Wu Hua, he threw it directly into the well that Jian Wushuang entered. A force pulled Chen Yuan and entered the underground cave. Seeing the other party, Li Miao didn't panic at all, waved his hand to loosen the bondage, and said calmly, "Chen Yuan, you should have thought that such a day would come." "No." Chen Yuan shook his head and said, "But a senior helped me solve my confusion, so I'm relieved." Chapter 6341. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. "Oh, is that the monk from Jiang country?" Immortal Jiuchen immediately became interested. Before Jian Wushuang killed so many ghost cultivators in one fell swoop, he had discovered it long ago. But it disappeared strangely later, because he was still manipulating the big formation at that time, and he didn't have any extra thoughts to pay attention to. Now that I heard the other party mention it, I realized that there is another troublesome guy who has not shown up. He was very jealous of Jian Wushuang. One was burning his mind power, and the other was that his 9-prison tower fell into the hands of that person. My life is only used to revive the imperial concubine, and I don't want to know the rest from me. At this moment, Chen Yuan showed his loyalty as a scholar. Immortal Jiuchen sneered. "Do you think you can hide it? With his strength, he can search for souls at will. Questioning is just a formality. If it weren't for the urgency of time, he would have to search for his soul. It's just that there is no need to waste time now, and the advancement of the plan is the top priority. Even if the cultivator from Jiang country is tricky, it doesn't matter if the plan is successful. Li Miao was curious about Jiang Shang. The appearance and breath of the other party are very similar to the woman who rescued Princess Yin back then. Okay, let's get started, Jiuchen urged, and he began to gather the spirit bodies in the formation, and began to carry out the secret recovery method for the imperial concubine. There is a ghost emperor outside, and there is also a ghost emperor here. It's just that this ghost emperor is different from the one from the outside world, because the ghost emperor here is a short version of the ghost emperor, with a very weak breath, just suitable for mortals. Li Miao first injected the soul body into Yin Ren's body, and left the rest to me. Immortal Jiuchen handed over the soul body to Li Miao, while he walked towards Chen Yuan, and after leaking a strange smile, Tan Ran said, "Little guys, don't worry, what I need is your cause and effect, not your life." Li Miao also nodded at this time, saying that he would not take Chen Yuan's life, because there is no need to kill the chicken to get the eggs. It is enough to get some cause and effect. He is a follower, not a murderer, and will not kill himself. Chen Yuan seemed very calm. Even if he took his life, he didn't care. The world is so amazing. When you are dying, your opponent will leave you with the last tenderness. Instead of killing you, they will take away your last value and let you face a woman full of guilt. The biggest reason why Chen Yuan is not afraid of death is that he cannot face the imperial concubine. And the second is that he misses a Z. There are immortals and ghosts in this world. Maybe when he dies, he will be able to see Azzy. But now he can't die. Immortal Jiuchen shot out. Chen Yuan didn't make any movement, but his soul was beaten out of his body. Chen Yuan, who was under the soul body, felt that his body was very strange, and before he was familiar with it, Immortal Jiuchen took a claw to his eyebrows, and a strand of golden karma was taken out. This is the mundane version of causal killing. Li Miao, back off. Immortal Jiuchen grabbed the causal thread and pressed it into the princess' forehead. The causal line, the soul body, the power of life, and the remaining wisp of soul breath of the imperial concubine began to continuously merge. Several forces repel each other, but merge with each other in the hands of Immortal Nine Dust. Once the fusion is successful, the consciousness of the imperial concubine can be restored. This is the big head. The rest is the flesh. Li Miao was not idle at this time either. The cultivator's blood essence collected earlier was used for the imperial concubine's body. Not only did he want to resurrect the imperial concubine, but he also wanted the resurrected imperial concubine to reach the level of infant transformation, a realm with himself, so that he could break through the realm of the gods by collecting blood and essence. Lonely, Li Miao called softly. A pool of blood appeared in the cave, and finally condensed into a positive. Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed when he saw this scene, and he exclaimed in his heart, "No wonder I can't detect it with my mind. So the altar is not in this space." He could see at a glance where the altar had been summoned. Should come from the space mezzanine. There is no such space on the altar, or there is no red-eye world. If he was asked to look for it, he would probably not be able to find it if he rummaged through the entire Mongshan County. But why would the thousand-footed holy maiden know? This is a doubt. As for why the major forces came one after another, it should be the news that Li Miao and Immortal Jiuchen deliberately released. Then the thousand-footed holy maiden is probably also a chess piece. A chess piece used by Li Miao and Immortal Jiuchen. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang's back froze, and his body instantly gathered back to his human form. Because he was exposed, even the space mezzanine can be found, and the altar can be placed in it. There must be someone among the Nine Dust Immortals, or Li Miao, who has a thorough understanding of the space together. So if he hides here, even if the thought power is covered tightly, he will be discovered. So show up immediately. Because the altar also appeared, and his purpose was achieved. He wants both the power of life and the power of the seal in the altar. The sudden appearance did not surprise Li Miao and Immortal Jiuchen. But everything was calculated. As soon as he appeared, a light erupted from the altar, shining directly on Jian Wushuang. Hee, it's you who's waiting. Immortal Jiuchen clenched his hands and shouted angrily. Bloodlight suck. A powerful attraction dragged Jian Wushuang towards the altar. Chen Yuan, who saw this scene, was also very surprised. He didn't expect Jian Wushuang to be here. And looking at the situation, Jian Wushuang must have been calculated. Mind power burns. Jian Wushuang was not to be outdone. He came prepared. How could he be taken down like this? The burning divine power instantly covered the whole body, desperately resisting the blood swallowing. He didn't want to enter the altar to become nourishment. Immortal Jiuchen grinned at this moment. Jian Wushuang, do you think your mind power can isolate everything? You underestimate me, Jiuchen, you can't bear it. Also, the reason why I am called Jiuchen is because I have experienced 9 worlds, and no more than you think. Don't think that if you win me once, you can do whatever you want. This time you will lose nothing. Your mighty soul will become the nourishment in the altar. Li Miao didn't know much about Jian Wushuang, but just looked at Jian Wushuang indifferently. The powerful swallowing power made Jian Wushuang unable to parry. Even if he burned his mind power to the limit, he still could not resist. His body and soul have been separated. This time it's over. When the soul body enters the altar, his soul will be annihilated. He wasn't worried about death. Trapped in this world, he thought about whether to return to the world god continent, or return to the reincarnation of this world after his soul died out. If he returns to the world god continent, then he returns directly to his deity. This is naturally the best. If he returns to the reincarnation of this world, then he will be reincarnated. Only when you reincarnate into that world, you want no. But doing so would waste his time. Also, he was unwilling to be so mortal. Chapter 6342. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. The biggest threat is that he is worried that after his soul is annihilated, he will neither return to the world god continent, nor return to the reincarnation of this world. When the deity falls into a deep sleep, he is the real doom. Even if this possibility is very small, he does not dare to gamble. Now that he can't bear the swallowing of blood, once he enters the altar, I am afraid that he will have no choice. So he had to choose to explode his soul before entering the altar. Don't forget, his soul body in the 9 prison tower can be regarded as the deity of this world. It's just that the 9 prison pagoda was originally the treasure of the 9 dust immortals. He was worried that the other party would do something in it, so he wanted to break the current soul, so as not to let the other party seize the handle. But just before his self-destruction, the blood flashed, and a guiding force sent him into the altar. Haha, I succeeded. This guy's soul power is much stronger than that of the finished Ghost Emperor. With him as nourishment, I don't need that Ghost Emperor. I just killed the real immortal in Fu Qing. And then it's time for the Ghost Emperor to refine a flesh body that surpasses the realm of the gods. And at that time, he also has the ability to take revenge. Immortal Jiuchen was very happy, and said many things in a row. Li Miao was also very happy. He was happy for Immortal Jiuchen. But it didn't take long for them to be happy, before they discovered that the imperial concubine's body had changed. No, the power of life is passing away, and it needs to be revived immediately. Immortal Jiuchen exclaimed. He didn't know that before Jian Wushuang entered the altar, the power of thought hooked the life force in the imperial concubine's body and entered his soul. Where would Jiuchen find this kind of method? Now that I saw the life of the emperor passing by, I thought it was just delayed, and hurriedly used the secret recovery technique to start the final recovery. Fortunately, the fusion has almost been completed before, otherwise, once the power of life has passed, it cannot be reversed, and the fusion will not be able to fuse at that time. Now at least half-life can be saved first, and the remaining half-life can be promoted by using the power of the blood-colored altar seal, which can also be promoted to the same level as Li Miao. This time be safe. Immortal Jiuchen wiped the sweat from his forehead, leaking a gratified smile, and said, I will use the power of the altar to help restore the last half-life of the imperial concubine, and at the same time, I will improve her realm to the infant transformation stage. As for the latter, it's up to you. Relax, immortal master. Li Miao also laughed, because this time the plan, despite the twists and turns, did not delay any entry into the city. After seeing Chen Yuan's soul and Jian Wushuang's body, Immortal Jiuchen felt a little annoying, and directly ordered someone to take them out and seal them under the well. When everything is successful, Chen Yuan can live. But when he stepped forward to search Jian Wushuang's body, his brows furrowed. Why not? Immortal Jiuchen was stunned. Li Miao asked concerned, What's wrong? The Tower of 9 Prisons is not on him. Immortal Master Jiuchen was instantly furious. That is a treasure. I thought that Jian Wushuang should be in the flesh, but I didn't expect to find a circle and not in Jian Wushuang. He immediately turned his head to look at Chen Yuan's soul, and without waiting for Chen Yuan to speak, he started a soul search. After investigating everything about Chen Yuan following Jian Wushuang and others, he became even more puzzled. How could it be? The 9 Prisons pagoda was clearly put away by him. How could he not find it? This involves his blind spot. The 9 Prisons pagoda is a treasure, the initial control. You can control the size at will. If you hold back completely, you can merge with yourself. But this is a treasure. The detached ancestral realm cannot recognize the master. Only the real immortal can recognize the master. But even if he recognizes the Lord, he is still one with the flesh. He shouldn't have found it. In his view, there is only one possibility left. He must have given the 9 Prison Tower to someone. Immortal Jiuchen gritted his teeth and said, Forget it. Let's look for it after we succeed. Anyway, no one can really refine the 9 prisons, so he can't escape from his palm. He waved his hand to the cultivator of Qiyang's sect, took Jian Wushuang's body and Chen Yuan's soul away, and then walked outside the cave and sat cross-legged in front of the cave's entrance to protect the place himself. Inside Mongshan County, the Ghost Emperor is getting stronger and stronger, constantly exerting his own innate secrets, and his combat power has surpassed the peak of the gods. Zhenxian and Fu Qing could only barely resist. The rest of the gods are only remote assistants. As for those baby-turning cultivators, there were no bones left that had been swallowed up long ago. Senior brother, the power of this Ghost Emperor is getting stronger and stronger, and it will be very unfavorable for us to drag on like this. Fu Qing was a little anxious. The same is true for the true immortals, but now that all the cards are out, there is no way to do it. Damn, forget about an ancient demon, and let the little emperor create such a monster. Anxious to be anxious, but not without any solution. Isn't there an ancient demon outside? The ancient demon who smashed the 9 days and trampled the blood of the human race recklessly to replenish the consumption that has been sealed over the years. The combat power has surpassed the peak of the god phase realm by 1,000 times. Dealing with this Ghost Emperor, who has not fully grown up, is more than a mistake. After paying attention, the true immortal statured and retreated, looking at the formation barrier on the city wall. A smirk leaked from the corner of his mouth. Boom! The loud noise that erupted from Mongshan County instantly alerted everyone in the castle. Wei Jiuxian also frowned and stood up, looking straight at the discovery of the busy county town, and then looking back at the sky behind. A towering and demon has descended. The war is about to start. Ancient demon versus Ghost Emperor. Both sides have combat power that surpasses the peak of the gods. This will be an ancient battle. To reproduce the glory of ancient times, this is the battle. At this moment, the sky is beautiful, and the oriental fish Ma White has just been revealed, but it is covered by the dark clouds, and the torrential rain after the drizzle is coming. But all of this seems to have nothing to do with Jian Wushuang. The flesh is sealed at the bottom of the well. It was just a husk, completely useless. What matters is the soul. In order to ensure that nothing goes wrong, he entered the altar with his soul wrapped in the 9 Prisons Tower. Incidentally, he stole the life force of the imperial concubine and made double insurance. But even so, he suffered a lot in the altar. When he just entered, the power of devouring seemed to be able to absorb all the power of his soul. Fortunately, the power of his soul has almost unlimited replenishment of the deity in the Tower of Nine Prisons. After all, it is simply too easy for a soul at the Yinxian level to supplement the avatar of the peak of the gods. If it wasn't for the suppression of heaven, he could completely raise the soul's power to surpass the realm of the gods. But even the soul of the peak of the gods can still be self-sufficient when it is infinitely absorbed by the altar. His soul at this moment turned into a stream of water, which continued to penetrate into the interior of the altar. The interior seems to be a new world, but everything is surrounded by red mist, and these mists flow rapidly with the power of swallowing. Chapter 6343. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Chapter 6343. Blood Crystal Pass. Jian Wushuang's soul is mixed with it. It took a whole day to pass through the blood fog area. Within a day, the power of the soul consumes a huge amount. It is comparable to the soul body of 10 gods at the peak of the realm. At the peak of the ordinary phase, I am afraid that the spirit and soul have already been destroyed. How Jian Wushuang continued to replenish and maintain its peak, and added the block of burning psychic power, which led to maintaining a clear consciousness all the time. You can also observe the inside of the bloody altar all the time, through the blood fog area. 10 times the soul power of the peak of the gods was consumed. Further back, a blood crystal pass. I originally thought that the power of devouring inside would be stronger, but when I entered, I found that there was no suction at all in the pass, but it still contained the magical effect of the soul. It's only good for not much use. Just curious that the altar has sealed the blood of the gods and demons? The person who returned to the peak of the phase may be sealed and refined by the altar. But for more than 1,000 years, the son-in-law of Tang, who sealed the 1,000-foot ancestors. He is also the founder of Baoguang Temple. If it is sealed and refined, then everything makes sense. Under the circumstances, I'm afraid which ancestor used the altar to refine the peak powerhouse of the gods, and sealed the other party's lie. But now the altar has the hand of Jiuchen Immortal. Entering the altar, the other party once said that he had experienced the 9 worlds. But the opponent's realm and strength are very special. Only the pinnacle of the phase of the ordinary level. What was hidden back then? Jian Wushuang felt that there were many secrets hidden in Feng world. If those secrets are not related to much, there is no need to sigh. Such a world can make the layout so long, and make such a complex network of relationships. Perhaps, that Tang Patriarch's relationship with Jiuchen is the same as his current relationship with Li Miao. And knowing that the ancestor of Tang has fallen, so I wonder why Jiuchen chose Li Miao. It just has nothing to do with it. Now due to find out the role of the altar. Judging from the previous blood mist, it can be an altar, more like a type of hole. Generally, the cave will be used by monks to tame monsters or cultivate herbs. After all, the world you carry with you is hard to come by, and making it an altar is somewhat of a loss. Plant something like an altar, and make it completely disposable. Also experience, but don't use it at first. Therefore, it is determined that the use of this place is as simple as the altar, and the specific function needs to be explored in depth. Jian Wushuang burned his mind power, and explored the depths of Tong. Nothing strange happened along the way, even touching the stone wall formed by the blood-colored spar. It turned out to be infused with the blood of the gods and demons. Good handwriting. Somewhat surprised, after all, the blood of the gods and demons is 100 times stronger than the blood of ordinary gods and demons. And it seems that the blood essence used is also from the spirit of gods and demons. In this way, light entering this place can nourish the soul. The blood mist outside is more like the transformation of the power radiating here, entering the inside to nourish the soul, and eating the soul outside. A bit of a nice arrangement. Let Jian Wushuang hold back and nod his head. The book returned to the topic, and the even more surprised head gods and demons reached that level. Compared with the so-called ancient demon from the outside world, The master of blood essence here is an demon, with at least 5,000 times the life gene. The specific strength can be calculated to the level of detachment, and even immortality. If that's the case, then the master of refining the altar is the least powerful. And looking at the appearance of the altar, it is considered a treasure, more like an auxiliary treasure. In terms of value, it is definitely better than the treasure. It is normal to think that 9 dust immortals are connected to the supreme treasure city, and the treasures that they are assisting. From this point of view, the opponent's peak period may be weak. Even if some treasures are picked up, it has to be a part of that strength refining. 9 dust. Jian Wushuang stroked the blood crystal, and said to himself, the level of life is very ordinary, and the level of soul is also very ordinary. It's basically like which sword immortal a true immortal is. Let alone with Yanxian. Even in such a mundane world, the power can be many times higher than that of ordinary gods. Why is Jiuchen so weak? Most doubtful. With doubts, the faster the pace. Mind power always covers a distance of 10 miles. So worry about danger. It didn't take long for the past to come to an end. At the end, he also felt a weak consciousness at the end. That consciousness is very strange, without the characteristics of life, nor the spirit of death carried by the soul. But the whole body has an aura. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up, and the speed became faster. The breath is also very familiar, and it reminds me of the true spirit of Qi Temple. The two smell alike. Only the comparison of strength and weakness is a difference of billions of times. No matter how strong or weak, at least it is a spiritual body of consciousness. The use of Jian Wushuang is enough. Maybe you can figure out the situation here. Looking for that breath and burning divine power, he approached while testing. At the end of the pass, there is a temple that exudes blood-colored power. Arrive! Jian Wushuang walked through, and stood at the gate of the temple. At a glance, the temple is close to the eyes. When you close your eyes, the temple is deep in the nebula. All around blood-colored light spots. Mean. The corners of his mouth are slightly raised, and there is really no way to do this. But that spirit body is only in the eye, and can only use the opponent to open the knife. With a movement of the mind force, appointing a ray of green power shuttles, that obtains the power of life from the body of the princess. The life force needed, and the various things it contains. Through it, he understood the several traces contained in it, and then transmitted it to the deity in the 9 prisons tower. So he mastered the prototype of all things. In the same way, the soul deity in the 9 prisons pagoda can absorb the inner power of the 9 prisons pagoda to reshape a body of all things. Only absorb enough power of all things, then the physical body will be stronger. Once the level of the physical body reaches the 10,000 times level, it will be the level of immortality, and then the soul deity will enter the physical body of all things, and will be able to pass from the 9 prisons tower. This saves a lot of time, and directly returns to the level of the real immortal. Also Yanxian, then the road behind will be easier. Chapter 6344. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Just follow the path you take. First take the universe of all things as the foundation. Step into Yanxian, master the ultimate sword, become the ultimate king, and then join. Jian Wushuang, who has countless experiences, has used hundreds of years to reach the peak of the emperor. At that time, I almost also cultivated the power of life from all things, and then promoted it to evolve the universe of life, and to open up the universe with the sword as the master, to become the master of the universe. Transcending tribulation is as simple as drinking water. Breaking through all the way has become a problem in the 9 tribulations realm. For a moment, it seemed that everything became easier. Jian Wushuang shook his head sullenly, his eyes shining brightly. Only sent a ray of life force to that spiritual consciousness, but directly associated with his own future. And so easy. Want. Saying that the meeting will go smoothly, you will reach the level of the master of the universe, and it will not be so simple to transcend the calamity later. The ordinary robbery of the universe. Of course it will be so strong. Returning the power of the soul. It was only after devouring the world beast Morosa that it became so rebellious. Moreover, the outside world also increased the beast's soldiers, and the sword of myriad tribulations contained itself, and it took countless years to be able to use the sixth sword. The deity of the outside world has reached the pinnacle of the 9-star universe god. With lots of luck. If the light changes from ancient times to one level, countless people can get stuck. Eternal change, that is created according to the eternal change. The world may not be able to grasp the changes at all. Moreover, entering the square world may be for the sake of transcending the divine tribulation of the universe. How can we go the old way? In this world, I also know that there is no suitable one for me. The sword is respected. The foundation, a sword makes oneself weak. Wherever one walks with a sword, a cultivator uses a sword to eliminate his grievances. To the back, transcendence, become immortal, unite, and open up the universe. You can't do it with a sword alone. Still need a lot of support. Will the world do? Jian Wushuang's eyes were firm in an instant, and his mood returned to peace. The path you take is unique, and it has nothing to do with the world you live in. Every cosmic has broken the existence of the supreme rules, and he should tie himself up because of the supreme rules. For a moment, everything seemed to be understood. I also understand the meaning of entering the world. Go your own way. It has nothing to do with the world you live in. Simply put, it's like an ordinary family. Take the definition of red eyes. The children of the family have no worries about food and clothing, and they are proficient in all kinds of making money when they are adults. While the children of poor families, when they become adults, can face dark eyes, feel the world's public, and feel that the world is the same. But the poor family is also precious. Chen Yuan was in a poor school. Although he was not able to take the exam, he was able to make the right choice at that time and rushed. Maybe if you change it. Is it for environmental reasons? Choose a reason. Jian Wushuang now has the right to choose. To choose the path he takes. Maybe he has reached the peak. But leaving this world is difficult. But what about after leaving the world? The deity who returns to the outside world is still Jian Wushuang, who is the peak of the 9-star cosmic gods' combat power. The purpose of the tombs of the gods? After leaving Huiqing, etc., came here just to cross the gods? When he left Beikong and arrived at the realm god land, he experienced many difficulties. Wuxia has survived the calamity. How can he fall? And the goal is from the pinnacle of the realm of the gods. And step into the starry sky. Where is the destination? But the ultimate place. For a moment, the heart is like a sword. Not affected at all. I also understand that it is the temple that affects my thoughts just now. A shrine that can actually affect the mood. Something interesting. He lightened that spiritual consciousness at will, and did not rush to enter the temple. The key is now also in looking at the eyes. In fact, it is still far away. After the force of life entered the consciousness of the spiritual body, it quickly stimulated the other party's spiritual power. Call. The illusory spirit body began to transform, and a familiar face appeared. 9 dust immortals. Jian Wushuang was frightened to hit one, and the other party was also taken aback. He stared at each other, looked at it for a while, and asked at the same time, "How did you meet? How long? Speak first." The tacit understanding between the two was simply perfect. But in a stalemate, Jian Wushuang was anxious, and the other party was anxious first. You can hear it from the tone of voice. The other party knows how many years he has been asleep. Now that he is half-lived and knows his identity, his heart is full of joy, and he most wants to know what is going on outside. This way, Jian Wushuang understands that although the guy looks the same as Zhou Chun, his identity can be the same. There are more calculations and guesses, all of which need to be solved by the other party. The outside world sees the same guy, not a spiritual body, but a real body. Jian Wushuang answered the other party's question without reservation. The spirit of the spirit body Zhou Chun instantly became excited, became a little crazy, and muttered to himself. It turned out to be a success. It turned out to be a success. Although I know what the other party is referring to, I can guess. It's no wonder that Jiuchen has a very high realm, and is also very knowledgeable. And he is able to initially control the treasures of the 9-prison pagoda, Yuan. Totally literal. If you guess correctly, Jiuchen should be one with that spirit body, or the spirit of the array, or the spirit of the magic weapon. This also explains why the other party is so strong, yet so ordinary. So I made up another lie. The deity sent in? Jishin's spirit body was surprised. Is it difficult to re-establish the fire domain? This sentence made Jian Wushuang feel a little ashamed, because it was within the calculation range. The ancient domain is so easy to rebuild, and Jiuchen Immortal has opened up a red-eye world. Then he said, I accepted the inheritance of Jiuchen Immortal and entered this place, but I didn't expect it to be a clone of Jiuchen Immortal. Hearing that he had become a clone, Jishin's spiritual body was furious. You know the fart. I am the deity. That guy's split consciousness is nothing more than a ray of consciousness. I didn't expect to bet right and become an immortal. Eyes widened. Jian Wushuang didn't expect the other party to be so easy to cheat, and the so-called Jiuchen Immortal was considered an honorable title. In this way, the other party can know that he belongs to the Jiuchen side. Chapter 6345. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Yes, Jiuchen Immortal has transcended existence, and the current spirit power even dares to pretend to be the deity of Jiuchen Immortal. Jian Wushuang pretended to be annoyed, and seemed very loyal to Jiuchen Immortal. This made Jishin's deity even more angry, covering his head with his hands and roaring. That deity, only a split consciousness it can surpass. It's very weak now. Jian Wushuang frowned, deliberately provoking the opponent. The words were very stimulating to the deity of Jiuchen, and the weak consciousness of the other party almost fell into a deep sleep. After the other party has the power of life, Jian Wushuang can also use the power of soul to help the other party cultivate spiritual consciousness, so as to keep the other party from falling asleep directly. Well, the sober Jiuchen deity found out that Jian Wushuang's soul was so strong, and was surprised. By the way, let's talk about the blood mist from the outside first. Jian Wushuang raised his head and said in a daze, Yes, this place accepts inheritance. As he spoke, he glanced at the temple in the distance. That temple definitely contains inheritance, and Jiuchen should be the true spirit of the inheritance temple. Just being honest, I want to get rid of the temple and become a monk. You can hear it from what Jiuchen deity just said, it's a fact. At this moment, when he heard that he had broken through the blood fog, his face was instantly happy, as if he had forgotten the sarcasm just now. I actually broke through the blood fog, and even if the clone did not rebuild the fire domain, it also created a great force. Jishin's deity was instantly excited. Jian Wushuang squinted at the other party, thinking what the spirit body should pay attention to. Hearing the blood mist, he was so excited. The blood fog outside doesn't seem to have much power, and it can barely pass if the power of the soul reaches about 10 times. The power of the soul has grown tenfold, which is difficult. At least it is very simple for a detached soul to improve soul power. But after detachment, it is difficult to improve. Especially after becoming an immortal, it is difficult to improve the soul, which is why there are few soul secrets, because it is rarely able to reach the standard of secret practice. So precious and mysterious. That is also after detachment, or after becoming an immortal. In the mundane period, if you can permanently increase the power of the soul, it is very simple to increase it tenfold. Jian Wushuang did not manage the mortal period, and according to Fan's standards, he did not feel that he was so special in breaking through the blood fog. Because the world where the deity of Jiuchen was in the past, the ancient realm, is more than the realm of red eyes. The arrogance of 10 times the power of the soul is also something strange. As for the surprise of the other party, just when he was in doubt, the deity of Jiuchen said excitedly, Son, being able to pass through the blood fog world means that the mental power has exceeded 10 times. And to go through the road means that the mental power can withstand 100 times. I haven't been arrogant for 10,000 years, but I actually met him today. Where can I go to the clone of luck? The decision I made at the beginning was right. Haha. 100 times the power of the soul? Jian Wushuang was stunned. He dared to believe it, and then turned to look at Tong, who was behind him. Where is the power of 100 times the soul? I was very serious at first, but when I got to the back, I suddenly understood. I have been burning the power of my soul, and my perception has reached 100 times, but I just haven't found it, so I think it is very simple to pass the blood. Jishin's deity also realized it later, and was spared by the words to Jishin's body. After a while he said something. 100 times the power of the soul. That's a little more difficult. Jian Wushuang paused in his heart. If the power of the soul is 10 times, it is normal, but 100 times it needs to be empowered. Endowed with supernatural powers, the innate ability of that gentleman. Spirits, such as ancient demons, are also gods and demons, and the life level of ordinary people is 100 times and 1,000 times, and the cognition of the strong is normal. But the power of the soul, the family, is the same. It takes hard work to improve. After reaching a certain level, create special creatures by yourself. For example, Jian Wushuang's deity, creating special life with his own universe, so that the other party's life level can reach 10,000 times. In addition to the level of life, it also creates the special life of the soul. For example, when the other party is just born, the soul level is about 10 times higher, and it can reach 100 times when he becomes an adult, which is a problem. Life is like the soul. The level of life can be broken thousands of times, but it is difficult for the soul to ascend to that level. If he devours the beast, his spiritual power can surpass that of the universe god, the Lord of the universe itself, but the soul is comparable to the of the sky, over 2 levels, and across levels. If the level of divine power transcends, it is quite simple. The Lord of the universe, who can rival the combat power of the Kong god, has almost achieved it. Only the power of the soul, without the fate of the realm, can do it, no matter how hard, and no matter how talented it is. The speciality of the soul, and the world inside the altar from the blood fog to the blood color, is a very elegant soul. See that the temple has high expectations for the soul. The present soul, although an ordinary soul, still burns the mind power of the soul's improvement, and it is naturally wrong to reach 100 times. That's it. Jian Wushuang, who suddenly understood, also stimulated Jishin's deity. Enter the temple. Improve the present soul, thereby speeding up the recovery of the soul deity in the 9 prisons tower. In the 9 prisons tower, no physical body will affect the cracking of the first floor. So lift the soul, help enter the 2nd level. Develop a peak treasure, improve the fastest speed of strength. And now I understand that if you enter the mundane world to recultivation, then you will take a special path. Give up everything. Give up that arrogance. To use the experience, but can be used indiscriminately. Take the practice path to the true extreme. Then send it from the soul. Jian Wushuang's heart is like a rock. Chatted with the true spirit, who had been sleeping for tens of thousands of years, for a full hour. Both sides opened up a new worldview. At this moment, the deity of Jiuchen has a world with the ancient domain in his mind. The master of this world has a split consciousness, known as the 9 dust immortal, and now he has reached the level of immortality. On the other hand, the young man, a arrogant from Jiuchen, entered this place to accept the inheritance. After all, countless arrogances have entered this place, but only one can survive. Chapter 6346. The fastest update to the latest chapter. Jian Wushuang was the first person to arrive at the temple. There are many details in it. Jian Wushuang said it very carefully, and he almost believed it. All of this is naturally a lie he made up. Whether the other party believes it or not, he believes it himself anyway. In his mind, a world also appeared. It was an ancient domain before it was broken. 108 ancient domains in the upper bound. He heard the 1,000-foot scientist say, and later shattered 36 ancient domains, forming countless small worlds. Red Eye World is one of them. Before the collapse of these 36 ancient domains, they had also been brilliant. The Heavenly Fire territory where Jiuchen is located is one of them. At that time, the Heavenly Fire territory was the origin territory of Emperor Yan. This source is naturally innate, and if the acquired source has its source, it has become an emperor. Although the upper realm is huge, it is estimated that the emperor really does not have one. And from Jushin's description, he could find that the Yin emperor was an demon. The special life of the one path of fire is born with divine fire. In the Heavenly Fire region at that time, in addition to the Yanlong Hall of Emperor Yan, there was also a great hall with the same name, Divine Fire Palace. This is the hall in front of you. This hall was arranged by a super existence in the God Eye clan. The first sequence Inheritance Hall. The inheritance of the Divine Eye is divided into 5 series. The first sequence is the strongest. The 5th sequence is the weakest. But within the Divine Eye clan, there is no distinction between strong and weak. Some people even practice inheritance in the 2 sequences, and their strength can surpass the inheritors of the first sequence. Therefore, it is not too important to accept that kind of inheritance at the beginning. The important thing is to cultivate. Integrating the 5 sequences into one is an act against the sky. However, even in the original 108 ancient domains, the inheritors who can fuse the 2 sequences are very rare. As for the fusion of the 3 sequences, it is only a legend. Each sequence has 36 inheritances, and the 5 major sequences have 108 inheritances. If you want to integrate other sequences, you must at least complete all the 36 inheritances in the first inheritance sequence. Countless cultivators have been blocked in the past. Jiuchen deity shook his head and smiled bitterly. Let's not say anything else, just the inheritance foundation required by the first sequence. I have not met anyone for tens of thousands of years. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath and nodded. He knew about the special inheritance of the Divine Eye. At the same time, he also admired this group, and even admired the powerhouse who created the inheritance of the Divine Eye, and he did not know how strong the opponent was. But to be able to create such a heaven-defying inheritance, the realm is at least the god of the universe. So, you are the true spirit of the Shinhua Temple? Was it created by the powerhouses of the Xinyan clan? Jiuchen nodded and said, It seems that you know a lot. In your realm, you can know so much. It seems that you have a very high status in the Red Eye world. I'm a contemporary Daozi, and Master told me a lot. Jian Wushuang replied without blush when he lied, and the other party was stunned. This is also a kind of talent, Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart. If you don't tell me, I also know that if you are a monk with 100 times the power of the soul, you can only say that my avatar is blind. Jiuchen was in a good mood at the moment, but he still scolded the avatar. Show no mercy, Jian Wushuang said with a slight respect. Senior, since I am here, should I enter that divine fire hall to accept the inheritance? Everything that should be known is almost the same. The only question is why the other party wants to break free from this temple and turn into a monk? Maybe it was because of ambition, or maybe there was a problem with the formation in the temple, so that the true spirit was no longer bound. The last reason is that the master who opened the temple has fallen. This is also the greatest possibility. When there is a problem with the formation, and the is lost, the true spirit will have ambitions. But how could there be a problem with the formation of the first sequence inheritance, developed by a super powerhouse? There is a high probability that the existence has fallen, and the soul imprint on the true spirit is exhausted, and it can naturally break free. The remaining deity provide you with the fastest update of Wandao Sword Sovereign, which costs money to kill a great god. Chapter 6346 Sequence Inheritance Free Reading. https:// Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Faithfully, the avatar that goes out is the ambition that splits out. From this, it can be reflected that Qixin was resourceful at the beginning. If you directly use your own consciousness to split the true spirit, there is no problem of betrayal. Because you are the true spirit, how can you betray yourself? Don't be afraid even if you fall. When Jiuchen heard that he was going to enter the Divine Fire Hall, His expression instantly became solemn. I am the true spirit of the Divine Fire Palace. I was going to personally lead you to accept the inheritance, but you also know that my spiritual sense is too weak to lead you in, so. Jiuchen sighed first. He took a sigh of relief, and then continued. But as long as you use the power of your soul to nurture me for 300 to 500 years, when I recover some spiritual knowledge, I can lead you into the Divine Fire Palace. 300 to 500 years? Jian Wushuang's brows furrowed. If it was before, he would not frown if he added a 400 character to the end. But now he has no time to cultivate his soul for the other party. Xiang Yang and Jiang Shang are waiting for him outside. The ancient demon is a threat, and the plans of Jishin's clone, and Li Miao may lead to the fall of Xiang Yang and Jiang Shang. Now he doesn't have much hope for Xiang Yang. Even if he finds Xing Luo, at most he will learn some world views from the other party. As for help, he doesn't need it at all now. The most concerned is Jiang Shang. The other party is Jiang Shang's daughter. With whom Jiang Shang would have a daughter, he didn't need to say more. He understood when he saw Hui Qing's Dharma portrait. This is the bloodline that Hui Qing left behind. It doesn't matter whether you can find Jiang Shang or not. If it takes little Jiang Shang out, it won't be too much for Hui Qing to kowtow to him a few times. He is very willing to see Hui Qing happy to forget before. Therefore, Jiang Shang cannot be allowed to die prematurely. Even if he doesn't accept the inheritance, he can't let Jiang Shang have an accident. The matter of cultivating the deity of Jiuchen will naturally not agree. Jian Wushuang was a little unwilling to say, Senior, is it only possible for you to guide me to enter the Xinhua temple? Of course, does not have my guidance. It is impossible to enter the inheritance hall, unless your strength can reach the sky-defying level, stronger than the master who created me in the first place. Jiuchen firm tone. Forced intrusion is naturally possible. It's just a level stronger than the powerhouse who created this divine fire temple. This is also a consensus. For example, in the inheritance formation arranged by Daojun, it is almost impossible to break through at the same level, unless it is the kind of Daojun against the sky, such as the original Jian Wushuang. If it is the emperor, it will be easily broken. Senior, what kind of realm do you think the powerhouse of the Divine Eye clan is? He actually created such an inheritance? Jian Wushuang tentatively asked. Jiuchen narrowed his eyes and said proudly, You have a good talent. If you can accept the inheritance of the Divine Fire Temple, you may have the opportunity to detach, and even become an immortal. But the Master's realm must exceed the immortal. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.